Yo. What's going on, people? What's going on, people? It's your boy DJ, part of Big Talk Sports. And I got a special guest with me. You see, this will be a round table. We're going to get into why it's not a round table a little later. But I'm here with my big dog, TJ Jones. What's up, man? What's going on?
Hey, man. How you doing, DJ, man? Appreciate you for having me, man. Like, every time we get together, man, it's just like old times, man. It's like, man, I enjoy talking to y'all boys, man.
Yeah, man. When we get back on, probably in the next quarter or something like that, I'm gonna get some content from when we were on here at first, man. That'll be funny, closet work, because I think me and you were in closet at that time.
Hey, man, yeah, for real, man. We've been at it for a long time, man. Well, we were with like 2019, 2020 or something like that, man. We got like it's been crazy, man.
Like it was early.
Yeah, it was a hot minute, man. But look, hey, I'm happy, you know what I'm saying? Happy to be here. Wish I had some better news and some better spirits, but here we are, man, for the first half of the season, man. Rough, DJ, rough.
Yeah, man, it's been tough sledding for a majority of the NFC South. I know I'm the sole person that's kind of smiling a little bit. You see the pearly whites out here, man. You know what I'm saying? It feels real good, just to try to tell everybody that we ain't gonna just roll over because of Tom Brady, and it just come true. Because nobody wanted to believe it. They were like, "Oh, you just a fanboy, this, that, and the third." Throughout the entire offseason, I'm explaining why I believe this. I'm giving impartial reasoning behind it, and it's like you get thrown to the side constantly. It's like, what? So this first quarter came. Yeah, I got blocked by some people on, X. You know what I'm saying? I got some really good reactions though. I had a couple 10K, tweets and stuff like that. A lot of people feel what I was saying, and like I said, I pulled my history is there. Like you can go look at my stuff. I've been on it the entire offseason. But, like I said, we're gonna get into, and I've been on these other teams too, and including y'all, man. I mean, like I said, we'll start from the bottom because that's what we're gonna do.
Hold on, now the bottom. We talk about the Saints. Now we ain't at the bottom. Feels like it, but we ain't exactly. Yeah,
we talking Matilda. Wasn't that Matilda when she was scraping the bottom of the pot trying to get that last one? Oh no, that was Dennis the Menace. Now I'm telling you, I'm too young for that. When he was down that bot trying to get a little something, just we stole Dennis.
Man, yeah. But look, all in all, man. I mean, look, the NFC South first half of the season. I think, man, to be honest with you, I think people pretty much kind of envision the way that it is. Maybe not so much about the Bucs. And here's the thing, DJ. I want to say this, man. I'm a firm believer in this. If you're going to dish it, you got to be able to take it. And that's the biggest issue I have with social media. You got a lot of people that are critical about certain teams, and everybody basically just throwing things against the wall and hoping that it sticks, right? So if you say that the team is not good and they end up being good, what's it to you to be like, you know what? I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect this. And I said it. Like, I did not expect at this particular point Tampa Bay to look the way that they do. Like, they look like really good offensively, like they playing tough, and Baker Mayfield looks like a legit quarterback. And I just think you got to give credit where credit is due. And I just feel like, if you're going to go out here with these hot takes and say, oh, y'all ain't going to be nothing without Brady, when a team proves that, hey, man, we pretty good without him, you got to give props. And I don't care what anybody else says. I mean, I'm willing to give props where props is due. I was wrong about it. I mean, how long this will last, it remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, y'all on top, man.
Facts. That's my whole thing, right? I'm gonna give you a little bit of hell, but if you can admit it, all right, cool. Like, just say straight up you were wrong. Yeah, I was watching Pat McAfee. He said we kind of didn't look and pay attention to him. Tom Brady gone, all the lights and everything is gone. You're kind of like, oh well, they're leaving. We knew Tampa Bay for the last 15 years or something like that before that.
Right.
So the lazy way of doing it was Pat McAfee admitted it, right? You admitted that you did not pay attention to anything with this team to make you be like, oh, yeah, they're just gonna run kind of like Arizona, right? I think many of us in general were like Arizona's gonna, fall to the wayside. But when you really start looking at their team, they got the defensive coordinator from Philadelphia, lost kind of like with the Colts getting their offensive coordinator. So I'm right now, that tree right now hot. I'm just gonna say that both those teams look like they're teams that know how to, or at least from a leadership standpoint, know what they're doing. So that maybe people need to look at that a little deeper and find out what's going on with that. But we were one of those teams. But if you were following me, I've been writing my little stuff. You should know he has a point here, but nobody wanted to give that, so I gave some hell, and I got a couple blocks. I put some people feet to the cold. It is what it is. But we coming to it, and we got a bye week coming up, and I'm about to start moving forward. But I had to have a little victory with all that.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, you deserve it. Like, seriously. Like, at this point of the season, you deserve it because nobody saw this coming. Like, it's probably except for, like, diehard Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. Like, nobody expected these guys to, like, do anything. Like,
you would be shocked, TJ, because some of the people that were in my crosshairs were Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. But it was widespread. Like, it really was. But, yeah, man, let's start with the bottom of the peas pot, which is the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to go ahead and pull up their schedule.
Yeah.
As you can see, it's only us two. Mike under the weather, so he had the stuff. So we're going to do it from ESPN. So I'm going to try my best to do it. Okay.
Yeah, shouts out to Mike, man. Hope you feel better, man. If you're watching this, hope you feel better, man.
Yeah, for real, man. Get some rest. You ain't going to be able to do this again.
Yeah. So, I mean, while you're pulling up the schedule there, DJ, I mean, I got some stats here, a couple of, guys, Bryce Young, he missed last week, played this week. He has 503 yards passing. You got Miles Sanders with 158 yards. Adam Thielen is the leading receiver with 287. You got Von Bell out there leading the charge with tackles with 24. And interceptions, you got Deion Jones, former Atlanta Falcon there. So, when you look at the Carolina Panthers, they just look like a team that's trying to figure it out right now. Bryce Young, I just feel like trying to get his feet wet in the National Football League. You also got to take into account that they kind of switched the defense, went from a 4-3 to a 3-4. You got some young guys out there that trying to understand a new defensive philosophy. J.C. Horn, great talent, but unfortunately he can't stay healthy. He's the best cornerback they have, but he's never really available. And you got some veterans out there, that can kind of go with some of the young guys, kind of teach them, put them under their wing. But I just think that it's just a work in progress, man. I don't think anything is like too wrong with the team to a point where it just feels like you just got to blow something up or they made the wrong decision. Sometimes like you got to allow things to kind of come together. But I understand, the Matt Rule experience. People just want some level of prosperity because Carolina Panthers, there's a standard. Like, they've been one of the best teams in the NFC South. They've been to the Super Bowl, in the last 10 years. And, the fans want to get back to that. And Carolina Panthers fans, they're passionate. They're passionate about their team, man. I mean, you stay in that area. I stay close to that area. I'm about three hours away from Charlotte. And they just want to see prosperity. They just want to see the team win. But I just think that it's going to be a work in progress. I think they got the right coaching staff. I think they got the right pieces, but it's just going to take some time, man.
Let's rip the Band-Aid off on this situation.
Okay.
This was a mistake, another mistake by Mr. David Tepper. Okay,
wow.
This should not.
You really going there? It been Tuesday violence. How long we been on? All right,
it's going to take long because, like I said, this was something. So if you have heard me, David Tepper, I've been saying it for a while, is a scumbag. He is a piece of you know what.
Wow.
And he makes decisions not only for his wallet, but what makes him comfortable. Honestly, Steve Wilkes did not make him comfortable as a head coach. Now, because the whole thing behind
whoa. No, you gotta elaborate on that one. Nah, you gotta elaborate on that one. With the Steve Wilkes situation. You got to elaborate on that one, DJ.
There's no way. I mean, when you're a team like the Panthers that have been losing
for
years now. We're talking a half a decade of losing. And the first time you took a guy that took a team that just like they were left for dead. Christian McCaffrey was traded. You hear words about Brian Burns possibly being traded for 2 first-round picks. DJ Moore gets traded. Chosen Anderson sent out the door. Everything is just going to crap.
Right.
And then they're like, you know what, Matt Rule, you ain't it. Go back to college, Nebraska, lose to Colorado, whatever you're going to go do, and just move on. And you just handed Steve Wilkes. It's like, you just just take the crap and just finish the season. But these people, they were in contention they were basically playing for the division with Steve Wilkes. They had those players that were on that team believing. The reason why many people came into this season so excited is because of what Steve Wilkes, basically injected into that locker room. And there's something to that when you're talking about a head coach being able to reach players and get them to play maybe a little higher than their talent actually is. And that's exactly what Steve Wilkes did. And there was players in David Tepper's room saying, we love what Steve Wilkes is doing. We would love for him to be the head coach of this team. And what does David Tepper do? He pivots. He goes get a coach that was fired after 6 or 7 games for a coach that had more of a modern look in football, because Frank Reich he doesn't. All right, so there's a little thing that me and Mike's talking about. There's something to it when you talk about modern football. If you're watching the type of coaches that are now being hired and having success, they're playing more of that play action, horizontal game, a little collegey, but you're getting defensive players going horizontally instead of coming vertically, and it's making them have to, make decisions. I'm going to follow the RPO. Am I going to watch the quarterback? It's a little bit more. You got to keep your eyes in position and do that. And a lot of these older coaches, i.e. Sean Payton, might be out there struggling a little bit due to that too, is because they have an old school way of looking at football. And that's not how a lot of these players that are coming now from the college ranks are seeing it. So that's why you're seeing a lot of these younger coaches come here. Look at Houston with the Texans. You got DeMarco Ryans out there with another disciple from the Kyle Shanahan tree. You're seeing a lot more coaches that are having success have a lot younger mindset. And that's what Frank Reich lost his job to. And then you watch how the Carolina Panthers basically brought Frank Reich into the Carolina Panthers. It felt very, and I used to piss Mike off. It felt very nostalgia. Frank Reich was the first coach. The first player, quarterback for this this team, and we're getting the Avengers with Jim Caldwell and all those other things, and it just felt really bubbly and just felt really good inside and everything like that. But it never felt like, no, we're here for business. We're here to do some work. It never felt that way. They have this little, we have a current thing where you can watch some back stuff. That's what the Panthers had. And it never felt like it was all about football. It kind of felt like I'm coming to the end of my coaching career. If you watch the way they did it, it was like, it didn't feel like, I don't know, it didn't feel like they were carrying over that same dog they were carrying over from the year before that.
Right.
They bring in Miles Sanders, who was the highest paid running back, which, all the crap about running backs, talking about them getting paid and everything like that.
Right.
He was the highest paid running back, which that can be looked at as a red flag in regards to that. When you had Deontay Foreman out here basically pulling Derrick Henry last year, carrying this team from an offensive standpoint, it was a different demeanor, right? You're going to bring a different attitude when you come into that run game.
Right.
Just the moves they were making this offseason, and not paying Brian Burns. You got that issue with him. He's upset about that. And it just didn't feel like they were coming into and then the preseason. The preseason, you can see the struggles with the offense. You can see all the juggling and everything with the offense. It was like, this ain't going to look good. This is going to be something that you're basically hitting the reset button altogether.
Right.
You cannot use last year, which is the pitch of why you brought in Frank Reich, is that we're going to carry over what we did from last year into this year and make it look like, we're going to carry in, and contend for this division. It's only 4 games into the division. I understand that.
Right.
But as of right now, watching this team, they're going to need Jesus to turn this thing around, just start winning game. Come on, man. They can't really defend. I mean, they can't block for Bryce like that. Bryce is holding on to the ball too long.
Right.
They have no wide receivers that can separate. The defense doesn't look that bad. I'm gonna say that defense doesn't look that bad. I think Everett's doing a good job on that side of the ball. Even with some of the pieces that they lost, obviously J.C. Horn is a piece of glass. He can't stay healthy for nothing. Shaq Thompson going out.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Yeah, that was real unfortunate. I'm trying to think who else they really. I mean, shoot, really, that's all they really lost. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the stats right here. You know, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, you look at Bryce Young, he got sacked 11 times. You know, like that shows you like they have offensive line issues. You know, it seems like, you know, when it comes to Miles Sanders, I know you mentioned him and how much money they paid him, but here's the reality, man. Look at Swift. You know, like look at Swift running the football. So I don't know if you remember this, DJ, but the Denver Broncos probably like in the early 2000s, man, when they had a bomb offensive line, man. It didn't matter like who you put back there. Everybody was like Ronnie Hillman, Quentin Griffin. It didn't matter who you put back there. You could put like the most mediocre running back there. They was like getting 1,200, 1,500 yards because that offensive line was just so bomb. Philadelphia had one of the best offensive lines in football. So it's not a surprise to me that Miles Sanders found success. But what happens when you go to a team that doesn't have a really good offensive line? All right. I mean, it's going to show where you're limited. You got some guys like Derrick Henry, who no matter, you know, if your offensive line is bomb or not, he's still going to be able to chunk out some yards, right? But you also have those running backs that the offensive line makes them look better than what they actually are. I like Miles Sanders. I do. I think that he's a really good running back, but I also feel like he had those type of numbers and he was looked at as one of the top running backs in free agency is because of that offensive line. And I think you're seeing that now. But I mean, the offensive line has been the issue. It's the issue why Miles Sanders looks pedestrian. It's the reason why I feel like Bryce Young isn't, you know, progressing. I understand the mind frame of Tepper, you know, like getting guys like Frank Reich, who has a history of developing quarterbacks, Jim Caldwell, well respected. I mean, I can understand like why they decided to do what they did. I get it, right? I mean, he seems like the type of guy that's more like analytics, right? He's big on analytics or whatever. Like, but sometimes like analytics don't always tell the whole story. You know, like sometimes, like, you know, when we look at PFF, Pro Football Focus, like, yeah, tell us, oh, this person is completing 70% of their passes. But you have to ask yourself, like, are they like, what's going on? What's the situation? Like, are they completing these passes in crucial situations? Or are they doing it in garbage time? Like, you got to be able to examine those type of things. So analytics can sometimes tell you the story, but it doesn't normally tell you the entire story. But I just think that when it comes to the Carolina Panthers, DJ, they just have to be patient. Like, Panthers fans are going to have to be patient. And I honestly really feel that they probably would have had to be patient even with Steve Wilkes as their head coach. Like, their defense, I feel like the defense probably would be looking the same, but the offense probably would be having some struggles too. Like, I just think that it's probably going to it's going to involve some patience for Carolina Panthers fan, but I can understand, like, and I fell for it too as a Saints fan at the beginning of the season when your team's starting to get everything together. Oh, we signed him. Oh man, he made plays for this team and that team. You get all excited, and then all of a sudden expectations start to show up, right? Oh man, I expect my team to be a playoff team. I expect my team to be 4-0 at this point. And then when it doesn't happen, you're like, dang. So I just think that Panthers fans are going to have to be patient.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and I guess that's the whole thing with them was now it's like, you know, they were 7-10 last year. They were basically one game away from the division, beating the Bucs. And when you decided to throw away everything you had, you're absolutely correct. When you hit that hard reset button, you have to forget about what you saw, the excitement that you saw last year,
right.
Like you carried this over. You got to forget that.
Right.
And I feel like there's going to be a hex on the Panthers because of how they did Steve. I really honestly believe that.
Yeah, it wasn't right. It wasn't right. He definitely deserved that opportunity, or opportunity in the National Football League. But man, that's another story for another day, man. You don't want me to be on my soapbox on that one. We already know what type of day it is with that, bro.
But I said to Mike, there's a way they can break this hex.
Was
how Evero there, and you got Thomas Brown. You got two brothers there. Fire Steve Wilkes ass and let them just run the show. I'm telling you, just let them figure it out together. I'm telling you, Evero was a very smart and calculated man that understands defenses and what's going on these days. I really feel that way. Thomas Brown is a Sean McVay disciple that is not getting an opportunity, and it's going to be difficult because you're basically playing with Frank Wright's playbook at this point. You haven't really, you probably have ideas in your head that I believe that Frank Wright didn't want to hear. He's like, oh, okay, that's cool, but we're still going to run this. I really honestly believe that. Like I said, I really think they messed up with the Frank Wright because you look at Frank Wright's history. His success came with veteran quarterbacks and having a strong defense, right? You look at Andrew Luck, Phillip Rivers when he was there. He has no record of working and developing a young quarterback and tailoring an offense around him to help him from college become a better player. And that's where my concern for the Panthers going forward is that part. And once again, Frank Wright's an older guy, so he can be very stubborn. So for Panther fans, but for myself, I hope y'all continue to do the hell y'all doing. But I hope that he can get out his own way and allow others around him that might have more of an innovative way of thinking can help him weather the storm with this.
Yeah, I had an opportunity, DJ, to actually see Frank Wright. I went to the NFL Combine, and the first thing that kind of stuck out with me was the confidence that he had. Like the confidence that he had. Like this was like before they decided to select Bryce Young. It just seems like he was just very sure of himself. I like Frank Wright, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I honestly,
a little biased.
I like him. I do think that he's a good coach. And, I just think that it's just going to take some time, man. Like you have the way that the Carolina Panthers are structured, you're going to have patience. Like, once again, you go into this season with the first overall pick, you get Bryce Young. I'm pretty sure some Panthers fans were like, man, we were really, really close to actually winning the division. So all we need is like a few little steps, and all of a sudden, like we'll be where we need to be. But you have to also understand, like they completely like changed around a couple of things, like going from one defense to another, a new defensive coordinator, a different philosophy, a new offensive coordinator, a new head coach that's offensive mind. All this stuff right here is going to take some time. It's not like these guys are like 2-3 years into it. Like I just feel like it's just gonna require some patience. I think they can find success. I do feel like they got the right quarterback in Bryce Young. I do feel this way. I feel this way very, very strongly. But they're gonna need an offensive line to be able to protect this dude. And it is gonna take some time.
Look who came out today.
Hey man. Hey man. I got 5. Can y'all hear me? You might not be able to hear me.
I can hear you, man.
I got 5 minutes. That's all I got. Actually, I got 3. I got 3. Excuse me. I'm a little under the weather. I agree with everything y'all saying. Especially you, DJ. You've been talking a lot of trash. I know you're on your high horse. Kudos to you because nobody saw this mess coming. Kudos to Baker actually doing what he's doing.
Right.
But excuse my language. But Carolina has a shit show going on. And it starts with David Tepper. And until David Tepper can get out of his own way, the Carolina Panthers will be a losing organization and franchise. The man has been there 6 years. The best record he's had was when Ron Rivera was there, which was 7-9. The next best record was a protege of Ron Rivera when he was 7-10. Frank Wright is starting off 0-6. That's right. I'm calling it right now. He's about to start 0-6 heading into the bye. I'm telling you right now, Frank Wright is about to ride off in the sunset, pimping David Tepper just like Matt Rule did. Matt Rule came in, got the biggest contract anybody had probably ever seen from a guy with no experience in the NFL to finesse this man for a 7-year deal. Frank Wright said, guess what, Jim Caldwell? Guess what, Josh McCown? Guess what, Deuce Staley? Guess what, Thomas Brown? Let's go ahead and get some of this second richest owner's money. And let's go ahead and set our lives up for the rest of our lives. Let's get a retirement plan. And the reason why I say that is Frank Wright's daughter and grandkids live in the Charlotte area. There's ties there. Josh McCown was coaching high school football here. It's ties here. Deuce Staley's mom is ill and she's in South Carolina. Guess what? It's ties here. Thomas Brown is from the Georgia area. He didn't want to continue to stay in the California area. It's ties here. I'm telling y'all, it's not COVID. Trust and believe it's not COVID. I've taken tests, all of that. I'm actually recovering now. But it's ties. It's ties to the region. It's also, we got the defensive line coach from Detroit, who his family is in Jacksonville. It's ties. This was a close location with the second richest owner that doesn't know anything about football, and we can finesse him to set up a great retirement plan. It ain't about winning here in Carolina, because if it was about winning in Carolina, then Steve Wilkes would have been the guy because he had already had the locker room. And I know, TJ, you say it might take some time. It would have, but you had a bunch of guys in there believing winning football when they've never won for this organization. There was a bunch of young guys there. They didn't see none of this with Matt Rule. They saw how to win, a tough, keep pounding football team. And this team is taking the temperament of, that's right, not temperament, temperament, because David Tepper is the owner. The temperament of Frank Wright, which is a dull, soft man. There's no dog, there's no fight, there's no grit, and that's why we're getting our will and we're getting imposed on the offensive line. It's not much difference than what we had last year with this offensive line. We were able to run the football. We got a couple an injury here and there. We got an injury or two, but it should not stop the keep pounding process of the Carolina Panthers, and that is gone. I'm telling you, I'm looking in Brian Burns' eyes, and he is done. Shaq Thompson was like, it's not an opportunity to go make money, so why am I going to go anywhere else and I'm stable here and they're going to pay me? You got to think, the Carolina Panthers, just like the Charlotte Hornets, sorry to tie in basketball, but it's October, so it's starting, is a place that you want to go get paid and move on to the next destination. Or you get paid and you want to settle because the Carolinas is a nice place to settle. And that's it.
It is beautiful. I ain't gonna lie about that.
You see, they both in there. Like,
So I'm telling y'all, I was on the train. I'm just like a lot of these guys that were coming in, gals, saying, yeah, all we have to do is implement a quarterback and we should be able to hit the ground running. No. That's not what's happening in Carolina. And we were foolish to think that this is what's going to happen. But when the organization from Scott Fitterer and head coach and all of them keep saying it's a retool, not a rebuild, then what do you expect us to believe? We got to see it for what it is, and this is a rebuild because there's no way you can retool 0-6. And now they talking about trying to trade for a number one when you had a number one on the roster and DJ Moore, because the number one that you're trying to get can't be better than the number one that you let go. And now you got Brian Burns there when they wanted to give you 2 number 1 picks for him in LA, but you turned him down saying that you were going to pay him, and then you decided not to pay him. So now what you going to do with him now? Look, y'all, it is a S show. We can talk all around it all we want to. It's a reason that this team is in the bottom, and I don't see it changing for the rest of the year. Now, I went over my time. Sorry, y'all got to bounce.
We had to get up your chest.
Nah, man.
I'm flowing that
Hey,
direction.
nobody can't nobody talk about your team like you can. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I got some cliff notes over here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, man. Look, hey, I feel you. I feel your frustration. Lord knows I feel your frustration, man.
Yeah, but I am gonna check it out, man. Sorry I can't stay on with y'all, but
man.
Before you leave,
Appreciate the Derek Carr effort right there, the warrior spirit.
Yes, sir. See, I got a hoodie on in the house, all kind of stuff, man. I'm trying to sweat this thing out.
All right. Before you leave, the next quarter, you got Detroit, at Miami, a bye week in Houston. How many games you think you're gonna win out that stretch?
0.
Dang.
If it's 0,
I don't think
that leaves y'all at 0-7.
0-7.
How much will it take for Tepper to get fired? Not Tepper, excuse me. I wish you could fire him, but Frank Wright to get fired, or they're just going to chalk it up a year. You think there's a chance for either way?
Nah, he's not. He's not gonna get fired year one. He's gonna at least have another year to do it. So he could mess around and go 2-15, which I'm predicting. I see 2 wins maybe, and I'm iffy on that Chicago game because it's at Chicago. It's a short week, but that's the game that I see that, okay, they're just as bad as we are. So we might be able to get one there. I hate to keep going further on, but I'm going to give you the last one, and that's Atlanta at home because they suck on the road. Other than that, those are the 2 wins that I'm looking at saying we could possibly get. But no, I don't see that happening. Miles Sanders is another guy. Once again, you came to Carolina because the market was terrible. They didn't want to pay running backs. And guess what? I was able to finesse another team to go get paid because the Carolinas. I'm telling y'all what it is. You got the same thing with Hayden Hurst. Like you got guys that have quote unquote names, and it seemed like the only one that's out here really doing something and is getting force fed the ball is Adam Thielen. You had Chuba Hubbard already on the roster, and he's averaging 4 point something yards a carry with this same doo-doo offensive line. But yet it's Miles can't. I'm telling you, I'm watching the games. The man is not hitting the holes like he's. Anyway, I'll be here all night. My wife already told me don't stop because I know you, buddy.
I see an arm come in like,
Nah, she in the bed. She probably tossing and turning like this hard-headed N-word. But look, nah, man, I am gonna check y'all out in the room until I go to sleep. Thank y'all for doing this, TJ. Love you, man. We got
love
this
you too, man.
Started together.
Yeah, man.
Together. Without you, it wouldn't even be none of this. DJ, same there, brother. I hated that I couldn't stay on with you. I heard people in the chat talking about another split. Nah, that ain't how we get down, man. This is love over here. It's none of that animosity, that type of stuff that go on in social media. These are 3 grown men with families.
Right, for real.
We don't play that mess.
Nah, man.
So I salute both of y'all, man. Love y'all. Keep bashing my team.
Man.
I got to pay bills, so I got to get this work in tomorrow.
All right, man. All right, you take it easy, man. All right. Take care of yourself. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was a very dejected Mike, man. Like, I'm not used to seeing my boy like that, man. And I honestly feel like even though he's sick, I feel like even if he wasn't, he probably would have that same level of energy. But I can't too much blame him, man. I can't. Like, the worst thing in the world, DJ, is when you have expectation for your team and you get all excited and hyped up and it just don't go the way that you want it to go. So I don't know, man. I stand by my statement. It's gonna take some time.
No, it's definitely in all agreement with what you're saying, but that wasn't, like you said, the expectation based.
No, absolutely not.
You didn't hire Wilkes because you thought Steve Wilkes could be a guy that could kind of carry on what you started to see light of last year. But
right,
it's a hard reset button, and it's very clear.
Yeah.
And guess we can start, wrapping this team up. Like I said, the 3 games they got, I agree with Mike. Houston's playing good ball. That was the one game maybe looking at early in the season. It was like maybe that, but D'Amico and them boys, they CJ Stroud versus Bryce Young. That's that's another hot take that's going on probably in Carolina.
Right.
Because CJ's playing out of his mind again.
Yep.
A modern coach that understands these type of quarterbacks that are coming into the league. That's what I'm saying. I forgot his name starts with a C.
Yeah. Man, it's a tough man. My goodness, like what they got Detroit this week, and then Miami. Ooh, yeah, I don't see them winning those games. That'll be a miracle right there. That'll be a miracle right there. I'm just being real. Like that's gonna be tough.
That's just being 100. There's no hate to that. If you gonna look at this schedule and you're not buckling up, Panther fans,
man,
you better.
For real. If
you win one of these games, you should celebrate that because I just can't see it happening.
Neither can I.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the 3rd place team. If I'm not mistaken, that's y'all.
Yeah.
So
man. Yeah, New Orleans Saints. Yeah, man. I mean, look. I'm like Mike. I could be here all day talking about this, like, cause you talk about an issue. Shoot, that is exactly what's going on in New Orleans, man.
We're gonna talk a little bit about this team. I got some questions for you, but
man, I wish I had. Hopefully, I got some answers, man. Hopefully, I got some for you.
So, looking at obviously the team leaders, Derek Carr sitting there with 763 yards. Taysom Hill, not your true running back, 101 yards. Chris Olave, who he shut down. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But 306.
Did you really? Like, did you really?
I mean,
I don't look. I'm gonna let you have your moment, man. Y'all shut him down. Okay.
But hey, you got to keep it real about that. He was shut down because of the situation you decided to bring at quarterback, and we're gonna get into that whole situation when it comes to that. And Pete Warner sitting there at 34 tackles, which is very interesting too, because I think DeMario, who I think myself and Mike have been like, he's been the best linebacker in this division. Looks like he might be showing little signs. I know it's early, but he's not making those same impactful plays that you see with his foot up and them arms out. Right. You ain't seeing that DeMario right now. But let's get into this, man. That's your leaders when it comes to your team. And we're gonna look at the schedule so far. Obviously, like you guys are 2-2. You beat Tennessee in a dog fight. You beat Carolina. Lost to Green Bay, and got your ass whooped by us. For the most part. But all right, man. So the New Orleans Saints. So I guess we'll start with the Derek Carr. You gotta start with Derek Carr. So your pulse with Derek Carr right now. First of all, did you feel like Derek Carr should have played in that game? Because I got questions about that.
Hell no, man. Come on, man. No, he shouldn't have played in that game. And I stand by this. And people, want to go at my neck for saying this. That was an ego move. This is a guy who understands that there's a division that's going on in New Orleans. You got some fans that feel like the Saints should have kept Jameis Winston and allowed him to be the quarterback for the 2023 season, not pay 4 years, $150 million for a guy who hasn't really won anything, right? I think it's a large enough sample size. He shouldn't have played in the game. I stand by this statement too. If Derek Carr, first game versus the Tennessee Titans, if he would have, let's just say, for example, if he would have threw for 300 yards, but let's just say if he would have had 3 or 4 touchdowns in that game, no way in the world he would have played week 4. He has left a lot to be desired as the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, and a part of him probably felt like, what if Jameis Winston goes out here and plays well? Like, what happens? Like, I don't like Derek Carr talks a good game, but in some cases, I feel like he's mentally weak. Like, I'm serious, because here's the reality. Y'all were whooping the Saints' tail, right? Tampa was whooping the tail. 2 minutes into 2 minutes left in the game, you send out Jameis Winston. I ask any Saints fan that's watching this right now, I ask any member of the NFC South, wherever your team is, have you ever seen when your team possibly had the New Orleans Saints day and Drew Brees was the quarterback? Have you seen Drew Brees just say, you know what? We got 2 minutes left. This game is insurmountable. I don't want to go back out there. That shows you everything that you need to know about Derek Carr. Derek Carr, to me, is a blame deflector. He doesn't want to look at himself when issues arise. He rather pin it on somebody else or pin it on something else. And that's just the reality of it. Do I think that he's a quality quarterback? Yeah. Do I think the Saints can win games with him? Yeah. Probably ain't going to win no playoff game or no Super Bowl. But yeah, he's a serviceable quarterback that I feel like talks a good game, but there are certain aspects of him mentally that are weak. He spent way too much time in the offseason talking about the breakup in Las Vegas. That was the first red flag for me. Man, what they did in Vegas, they didn't want me anymore. He kept on saying that over and over again. That shows to me that you mentally weak. How many times, like, I seen Peyton Manning go to a team that he led to countless AFC South titles. He went to Denver after, they felt like he was damaged goods. He probably mentioned Indianapolis one time. And that was probably the week where they were going to Lucas Oil Stadium to play the Colts. But this dude just constantly talks about, what the Raiders did to him. And I got a source, like a really, really credible source, that the story about him being sent home by the Raiders organization wasn't true. It was actually him that wanted to go home because he got mad because he got benched for another quarterback. But of course, the Raiders didn't want to put that out there because it wouldn't have made his trade stock look appealing. That's the only reason why. That's the only reason why they did it. But they end up releasing him anyway. So the dude, like, to me, he talks a good game. He talks as if he has this unwavering confidence. But if you like pull back the layers, like you see a guy that's mentally weak. What kind of seriously, DJ, what kind of leader? Like, your team is down 26-9, right? 2 minutes left in the game, and all of a sudden something wrong with your shoulder, or you can't go back out there. That to me is a defeated attitude. Drew Brees would never. I'm serious, man. Like, there was one time I want to say the Falcons were beating the brakes off the Saints at home, just like that in New Orleans a couple years ago. And Drew Brees still was out there, and he facilitated, a game, a drive. I mean, the game was like out of hand, but he still facilitated a drive, and the Saints got into the end zone for a touchdown. That's a leader, not a guy that's going to grandstand and hot dog. You know what I'm saying? When things going right, a leader is a guy in the face of adversity still is showing that he is a true leader. I feel like he talks a good game, but he's mentally weak. And I honestly, attitude reflects leadership because Dennis Allen is mentally weak. Pete Carmichael is mentally weak. So they all in bed together with me, quite honest with you. And what that is a recipe for a losing culture. So the Saints are not good. And they are probably, honestly, DJ, they'll probably win next week. They'll probably beat New England because Saints fans are up in arms and they're upset about the play calling. Pete Carmichael, they won't run him out of town. So they'll probably burn the midnight oil to put forward a better performance that probably keep Saints fans at bay and lob them to sleep. But 21 games we have seen this experiment that is Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael. 21 games. You are who you are at this point. What you have are two losers. And right now, because they're two losers, the Saints are losers. And until you get these losers out of town, the Saints will continue to be the losers that they've been. Not them as people, but as a team, organization, and crew. They're losers.
Oh, man, you preach to the choir. I've been on this Derek Carr tirade since the Raiders. I was tired of hearing about his warrior spirit, like you said earlier. His like, he just needs somebody, he needs a team around him. That's all he really needs. That's straight up bull, okay? Like, winners make other people around them want better, and they demand greatness. And I've never saw that from Derek Carr with the Raiders. And I hate to bring this guy up with Tampa Bay Buccaneers because he is a Tampa Bay, I'll say great, and somebody that people adore and everything when it comes to Tampa. And don't take it wrongly, I like you too. Gerald McCoy. There was a reason why they replaced Gerald McCoy with Ndamukong Suh, who was out here still, first of all, winning, had a different type of attitude and expectation with the line. It wasn't, all right, guys, let's have a good day out here and play a good game.
Right.
You know, somebody like that that's leading, that's supposed to be a leader in your locker room, there's a problem there. You know, especially when you talk about the defensive line. Now, if you're putting that same and infusing that into your quarterback position, a guy that just, like you said, I mean, I always thought Derek Carr cared more about his efficiency, his stats over winning.
Yes.
I think he makes decisions based off of, he makes decisions for himself. I think he'll check it down. Like, there was a play against us, which I was cracking up. You know, first of all,
I don't blame you. I was too.
This man checked it down and was high-fiving people to get in position to kick a field goal. I was crying. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, then on top of that, like, man, honestly, I honestly feel like the nice guy, humble guy, I feel like all that just a front. Like, for real. I think he be front. Like, yeah, dude's hitting you trying to take your head off. Man, good hit. Like, dude, get out of here, man. Like, seriously. Like, I honestly feel like this is the truth. I really feel like watching that press conference when he first got to the New Orleans Saints and they signed him. This fool really was walking up in there like he was second coming to Drew Brees. Like, but in reality, like based on like his mental makeup, like you can't fake the funk for me. Like, seriously, I majored in communications. You know what I'm saying? Like, communications ain't nothing but like psychology, like listening to like people's voices, their body language. Like, I listen to the words that people say. You can tell that is more of Derek Carr convincing himself that he's good than him actually believing deep down inside that he is good. Like, I'm serious, man. I feel like the whole thing is just a straight up 100% front. And I don't care what anybody says. If you had the balls to say to Dennis Allen and the Saints coaching staff that I'm good enough to play, you should be able to start. You should play from start to finish. There was nothing wrong with you to a point where you couldn't finish out that game. People want to criticize Jameis Winston. Oh, he came in the game through a pick. Jameis Winston should have never been in a game in the first place if you, Derek Carr, would have, finished the game. There was nothing wrong with you. To me, that just shows you right there that the Saints have a quitter. They're trying to make himself look like he's a leader. There is no way. Go back and look into the archives. I have never seen Drew Brees, as long as I've watched the New Orleans Saints, quit in the middle of the game. I seen Drew Brees throw 5 interceptions on a Thursday night against the Falcons. And that man, the game was out of hand, and he still was out there. That is a leader. Derek Carr, to me, is a fraud. Like, he has to prove to me that he's not.
100%.
Like, to me, based on what I'm saying, he's a fraud. I feel like he's one of those people that might say the right things. He remind me of like one of them people that they'll smile in your face, but in the back, you know what I'm saying, back his mind, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't trust your intentions. Like, seriously, I'm not hating, and I know some people might. I'm just telling you, go and look at the press conferences. How many times this dude like talks about the Raiders? I even mentioned this on the podcast. I said, I wish that he would stop talking about the Raiders because it makes him feel like it sounds like a scorned girlfriend or something, a scorned boyfriend. Like, just, man, you ain't never gonna do good without me. But you ain't doing good. Well, you ain't doing good either, even though you left him. You still out here, you know what I'm saying, sleeping, sleeping outside because that's the way you looking. Seriously. Like, I'm just asking everybody. Like, I know Saint fans, some of y'all probably like, I don't know. Go back and look at the press conferences and really listen to how this dude be talking. You can tell, man, like he talks a good game, but he's mentally weak. Mentally weak, seriously.
And I mean, I got it. I think many people after the game y'all played them last year and literally shut them out was like, they forgot about that. They forgot about their thought process of what Derek Carr probably was in their mind when he came to the Saints. But, you know, it seems like you already hitting everything that I already felt about Derek Carr. And that was my whole thing. I'm like, all right, when you look at it from face value, I'm like, all right, I guess you can say Derek Carr from an ability standpoint is the best quarterback in this division. But when you're talking about actual winning and doing things like that, I was starting to lean to the Baker. And I was like, it was really hard because I don't think Baker's as talented as a thrower as Derek Carr. But
Baker Mayfield won a playoff game. Baker Mayfield won a playoff game.
And that's how, we're going to get into that when we get to Tampa. And that was something I appreciated and loved about Jameis. Jameis gets a lot of crap, but Jameis does what's best for his team, never for himself. He has never been that guy to ever do that. I watched him for years. I watched him go out and play with that same AC joint injury that he's playing with no Mike Evans was hurt, Godwin got hurt, and still was out there because he was out there for his team. When it was probably in his best interest to say, no, I'm shutting it down, because he already played well that season and ended up going in those last couple of games, losing the games, had bad, terrible games. But he couldn't get out of his own way because he was trying to be out there with his guys.
Right.
And one last thing about Jameis, I'm not going to get a tirade about Jameis because, like I said, that's y'all problem. I'm sorry. But when I watched him warming up, he looked pissed off. Like, he was like, you seriously going to put me out here in this right now? Like, when you could have started me against a team, I'm still trying to prove and trying to get one up on. These last couple of minutes, you're going to do that? All right, hold my beer.
Yep, and
that's what it felt like. It felt like you just tossed it and didn't give a like. It just.
But can you blame him though? Like the whole entire week leading up to the game, like most Saints fans thought that he was going to play. And to be quite honest with you, I feel so bad in this particular situation because DJ, you got a lot of fans that are morons. Like, I'm serious. Like, like for real. Like, because follow me with this.
They can't watch football and understand it the way it needs to be understood.
Exactly. People will hold on to the one interception that he threw instead of them looking at the obvious that Derek Carr shouldn't have played in the first place. People are so enamored and so focused on trying to be right. They will take it any way they can. This man threw one pass. Who's to say, like, okay, he threw an interception? Who's to say that he would have, the game wouldn't have been close if he would have started the game from start to finish? Who would have, I mean, honestly, you never know.
127 yards.
But people will sit up there and be like, well, you see, that's the reason why he didn't start. Like, instead of them looking at the garbage that was out there and what Derek Carr was actually doing, people will take it any way they want. And DJ, those people make me sick. Like, seriously, it's amazing how people can suspend their reality and warp it into whatever the hell they want it to be. This man threw one pass, and yes, it was an interception. But who's to say he wouldn't have threw 2 or 3 touchdowns in the game on top of the interception? Who knows? You never know.
Honestly, I don't think after they showed me on the sideline him warming up, I ain't never seen Jameis like that. I was like, it didn't look right. I watched him for 5 years. I'm like, I ain't never seen Jameis with that type of he just looked like he was just sick. He was done. He's like, you serious? And that's not his attitude, and you can tell. And it's not surprising the way he did that. And again, I'm not trying to defend the guy. I'm just watching what I'm seeing on TV. And if you saw my tweet probably when I said it is very clear that Dennis Allen hates Jameis Winston.
Man,
you felt like
disrespect.
It was a better idea to put Derek Carr with his injury when he already struggles 100%. It's not like you put Peyton Manning out there that's 60% or 70%. You put Derek Carr out there at 60%, when at 100%, he's still at best an average quarterback.
Which basically feeds into my narrative that Dennis Allen is soft. He's not the right leader. There's no way. There's no freaking way that a competent coach, when you can despise Jameis Winston all you want to, but this guy has started in over 80 games throughout his NFL career. You're not about to tell me that Jameis Winston is just so terrible to a point you feel like you have to force your starting quarterback who has a bum shoulder to play. This isn't like we talking about some dude that just came off the strap heap, somebody that was just in the XFL, and now you just sign him to the practice squad and activate him during game time. This is a guy who probably understands the offense better than no starting quarterback because he's been in your system. Now, I don't care what anybody says. Like, the disrespect for this dude, like, it's just amazing. And honestly, after week 6, hell, I'll be doing this right now. After week 6, when Jake Hayner comes back, if I'm Just Wins management, I'm on the phone. I'm up here stirring the pot. I'm out here sending information to inside sources saying Jameis Winston is requesting a freaking trade. Like, seriously, whatever you feel about Jameis Winston, some people, he'll never win over. But the dude deserves better than this. Like, straight up, man. He deserves better than this. Dennis Allen, they do not like the dude. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why, but they do not like this dude. They do not care for him.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, even if you hate it, I really do feel like there is like a spot. I think that was more of a GM decision to bring Jameis back than Dennis Allen. I think they came to an agreement because, again, you're bringing back a quarterback that knows your system, and a player, your main quarterback that you're paying $46 million is hurt. That's what you brought him here to pitch hit. And you want to bring him in. If you can't stand or whatever the case may be, put Taysom Hill in there. Play damn Wildcat all day. Let him throw a couple passes and stuff like that. Like you said, it's just, I really do feel like Dennis Allen's trying to prove something with Derek Carr because that was the beginning of what he was trying to start with the Raiders. He didn't win the draft with him. They're, like you said, like-minded weakness together. We're going to figure this out together, buddy. Like, no, what's going to happen is you're going to get fired with the same person that you drafted last time, and it's going to look the same exact way when y'all just piss this year away, because that's what it feels like y'all about to do. Because Dennis Allen
is a joke.
His record says
he's a joke, and he got this whole team looking like
he'll
a joke.
Be in Denver next year.
Yep, I mean it's just an absolute joke, man. You got all this talent. I said this before this show here on the State of the Saints podcast. I said you can make an argument, DJ, that this is probably the best collection of offensive talent the Saints ever had. Like, as far as playmakers. The Saints have never, like, honestly, they've never, like, really had a group of receivers where I felt like each one of them can get 100 yards. Like, all these guys are capable of getting 100 yards, including the tight ends, including Alvin Kamara. And they got these boys looking like some straight-up suckers. Like, I don't need this. Like, honestly, I don't even care. Like, you can keep Pete Carmichael. You ain't got to make no changes. Like, seriously. Let them do whatever the hell they want to do. As long as when the outcome is all said and done, when the season is over, both of these clowns get up out of here. And they can try to double down on it, but I guarantee you, Saints fans are right now, they are frustrated, and they wondering to themselves, why the hell am I spending my hard-earned money on a team that can't win in the Dome? In the last 18 games, they 7-11. So why people ain't doing that, man? Like, seriously. You spend all that money for the game, you pay for parking, you know what I'm saying? There's this you got people breaking in cars downtown, you know what I'm saying? You risking a chance of getting your window bust in and getting your stuff taken. But yet I gotta go up in here and watch these boys lay an egg on Sunday when they capable of winning football games and putting up more than 15 points a game. Man, get these clowns out of my face. Like, seriously, man, I'm just looking forward to the end of the season. And like I said, they better do something, because I'm telling you, they can feel like, oh man, the Saints fans, they love the Saints so much. Okay, keep playing with these folk, man. Like, New Orleans people, man, like, for real, they are really loyal. Like, trust me, you know what I'm saying? I'm from the city. They're extremely loyal, but they're loyal to people that are loyal to them and feel like they have their best interests at heart. And right now, the New Orleans Saints, to me, it just seems like Mickey Loomis is trying to, be in a position where he hasn't been, because Sean Payton won so many games. He was the greatest coach that the Saints ever had, and he kind of played the background. So now it just feels like by putting a lame duck coach in place, it can give him the opportunity to be able to, kind of pull the strings a little bit. It's almost like a situation with Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones. Jimmy Johnson was the guy who was winning all the games, and Jerry Jones felt like, he played the background. but instead of him not playing the background, what did he do? He let Jimmy Johnson go and he brought in Barry Switzer so he can be able to grandstand. That's the way I feel about when it comes to Mickey Loomis. Maybe Mickey Loomis wants his moment in the sun, but I can tell you he's having a rough outing at it right now.
You better hope not. Oh, I mean, yeah, and like you said, for your defense is still, playing relatively well. I know you got a couple of young players over there. Granderson's playing well. That was a good decision to keep him in.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I got to eat a little crow. I even forgot his name at this point. Yeah, defensive tackle.
Oh, Brian Brzee.
He looks better than I expected.
Yeah.
Clemson doesn't do well. I think transferring, players coming into the league and already looking at his tape, I knew he was a 5-star athlete coming in, but they don't develop linemen in Clemson. But he's playing pretty well, and I eat crow. I'm a guy that actually kind of maybe looked at a little wrong. I don't do that a lot. If you watch me, I don't do that a lot. But yeah, man, he's playing pretty well. Tyrann Mathieu looks like he's playing inspired ball a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And cornerbacks, they are. Some players you don't got to talk about, right? I mean, Marshawn's the same aggressive guy. He's gonna get on your nerves. He's gonna continue to play with you and play with your emotions. That's what he's gonna do, and he's gonna try to get the best of you mentally and physically. So,
right,
doing that right now. Alton Taylor, whatever his name is.
Alontae Taylor, yeah.
Alontae Taylor, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have a lot of he's good now, he's good here, he's good there. Does he have a lot of back and forth a little bit? What?
Well, I feel like when it comes to Alontae Taylor, you have to understand, most of his career he played on the outside. The Saints kind of they switched him to the inside, so he's playing more slot corner.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a transition. So I expected that, DJ. A little bit of up and down when it comes to his performance. But the way that he played, I want to say it was against Green Bay. I think he did a really good job out there. He won some battles, lost some battles, but that just kind of comes with the territory, right? You know what I'm saying? These wide receivers get paid a lot of money to catch these passes. So I'm not going to knock them for not winning every battle. I think sometimes when we judge cornerbacks, DJ, sometimes if they ain't not acting like they Darrelle Revis or Deion Sanders back in the day, we just kind of want to throw them away. But those guys are special for a reason. And just because those guys aren't going to win every matchup like some of those guys that I just mentioned, doesn't mean that there's not a place for him. But I think he's a really good corner. I think that he's very, very confident. I feel like he embraced the slot position, in a way that, a lot of Saints fans were rooting for him. He used a biblical term about it, so, I think that people are just, people want to see this guy grow, and he is a fan favorite. People really like Alontae Taylor. I like the kid. I think he's a really good player.
Yeah, I saw a little Paulson Adebo Taylor, tirade, who's bad type thing, who should be starting on the outside.
Well, I think they made the right decision with Paulson Adebo. I mean, Paulson Adebo, he's a long, rangy corner. He has really good ball skills. I think, sometimes he can get a little handsy, a lot of holding calls, sometimes they come in at one of the worst times, but I think they made the right decision. I think that he's a good, solid cornerback, not going to be all pro or nothing like that, but I think there's always going to be a place for him in the league. He might not be a mainstay with the New Orleans Saints, but I think that he's always going to have a place, man, just due to his ball skills, his range, his length. I think they made the right decision putting him on the outside.
Right. Okay. Well, I had a couple questions with that, but yeah, man. If you have any final things about your team, I mean, obviously the offense is probably
terrible.
Your coaching staff and the offense, it's probably the two things y'all really zero in on that needs to get better. I don't know if Dennis Allen or Pete Carmichael can get any better, but those players might take it on themselves and just do what they can with what they're dealing with, because Dennis Allen is who he is. And I picked y'all to win this division when the season started because it was hard to tell. With us, with Dave Canales and everything like that. Right. Carolina, I didn't feel good about because it just felt like they were hitting the reset button.
I thought they would have been better, man. I thought they would have been better.
I'm probably the biggest fan. Like, Dre, you my dog. We're going to talk about y'all. I'm going to be very impartial about y'all. Talking with kids too. But, their team is just going to be, we're going to get into that next. I think that their next team up. But
Yeah. Well, I guess the final thing that I would say is, since we talking about like the first quarter of the season, I'll just talk about like I think the Saints. I think they'll win against New England. I think they'll lose against Houston. I feel like they will beat Jacksonville, and I feel like they'll lose to Indianapolis. Like I feel like it's going to be kind of similar to last year: win one, lose one, win one, lose one. I think that the New England Patriots. I think that they'll probably win that game because once again, everybody is being hypercritical of them as a staff right now, so they're going to want to prove people wrong. I feel like with Houston, I think C.J. Stroud is showing that he should have been the number one pick. He's playing really, really well. D'Amico Ryan's going to have that defense, going to have them dogs hunting. I feel like the New Orleans Saints been struggling to score. So while, last time I think they played against a D'Amico Ryan's defense, they didn't score anything. They played against the San Francisco 49ers and lost 13-0. So I expect for D'Amico Ryan to have his dogs hunting. Jacksonville, I feel like Jacksonville, I watched them. They kind of up and down. They're dealing with some injuries. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he's just kind of wacky, man. I mean,
call for what it is. He is not just sunshine. He is not the best player to come out since Andrew Luck. Just call it for what it is. I ain't got nothing against Trevor Lawrence at all. But the expectations of what they put on this man to be, he is not it. And you kind of saw that a little bit in Clemson.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's going to take them probably some years before we see maybe a little bit of what they think. And I think it'll never be consistent. I just really don't think it's going to be that way.
Yeah, I think he's a little erratic. I think
like football's not everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's a little erratic, but I mean, the Saints, the Saints are the Saints. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter how mediocre a quarterback is, or or how great he is, you never know what you're gonna get with him. I still think the Saints will win this football game due to the injuries for Jacksonville. I do feel like Jacksonville probably gonna keep it competitive, but I think the Saints are probably going to end up winning that game, especially it just being a home game. And I'm just going with history when it comes to the Colts. You have a mobile quarterback, and I just think that he's going to give the New Orleans Saints fits. I think Richardson is going to get the Saints fits because they struggle against mobile quarterbacks, and his ability to be able to scramble outside the pocket, his strength, his ability. I just think it's going to be a rough outing for the New Orleans Saints. So I got them losing that game. So I think it's going to be the same thing as last season: win one, lose one.
Yeah, and I need another quarter, you guys, before I really start thinking, because I feel like it will be one game, but I'm gonna say 2-2 myself, because I feel like I'm getting a good amount of data. I just don't think I have it all to say that y'all will only win one game in this stretch. So I will say y'all gonna get 2 games.
I think you're gonna go 2-2. I got, like I said, New England and Jacksonville. I feel like those are going to be the 2 games they win. I think they're gonna lose against Houston, and I think they're gonna lose against Indianapolis.
All right, you heard it first. Both me and TJ think they're gonna go 2-2 in that second quarter. All right, so the second place team, and also TJ, I love you, bro. I hate your damn team. Well, maybe because I hate Cam Jordan. I got a little story about Cam Jordan, or at least a theory of my own that nobody's ever said. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm this lasts a little bit.
Okay.
So going back to the 2011 draft, that's when I started really paying, not really paying attention to football, but I started really trying to break it down a little bit.
Right.
And I knew we had a late draft pick. I think we were the 19th pick. Mm-hmm. And a lot of information was coming out. The Adrian Claiborne. I'm like, I don't want this Iowa quarterback. Defensive end that got one arm.
Right.
I don't want this dude. And I'm watching. I'm seeing highlights of Cam Jordan. I'm like, oh, that should be the guy out of Cal. I like him. Mm-hmm. And they come out here and get Adrian Claiborne. I thought it was the time period where we're just doing dumb shit all the time, whatever. And I honestly think, and he will never say it, I think he takes the shots he takes at us is because he has something against us due to him being drafted before Adrian Claiborne, when it was clear that we should have took Cam Jordan over Adrian Claiborne. I really believe that. And him having as much success as he has had in his career while Tampa's been down, it brings him nothing but joy. And I think because of his personality, it just adds to it. And yeah, that's just my little thing on Cam Jordan. But I can't stand his ass. But I love him at the same time.
I guess that just kind of comes with the territory. I mean, him being a mainstay, and he will be a mainstay. He's gonna finish out his career with the Saints. You know, he already signed the extension, so I just think that just kind of comes with it. I think he's just loyal to the team. I think he's just dedicated to it. But I will say this. The last couple of times Cam Jordan played, against that offensive line, I mean, he was not very effective. So.
Yeah, he thought he was gonna find another Donovan Smith with Luke Gedeke. Luke said,
I'm pretty sure they had. I'm pretty sure they had them comments on inside the facility. Especially when he was talking at the Pro Bowl. So I'm pretty sure they was motivated. You can tell, because I want to say Chris Godwin was mic'd up, and he mentioned that. So there you go, man.
All right, moving on. The Atlanta Falcons. The other team that's supposed to win this division. All right, Desmond Ridder, 745. I didn't know he had that many yards. 744 yards. Bijan Robinson, top rusher, 318 yards. Top receiver. We're going to get into that part because I'm very interested. There's Jonnu Smith at 179 yards. And I mean, the MVP of this team, which he should be here, Jesse Bates, 32 tackles, and Jesse Bates with 3 interceptions.
Yeah. That's money. That's money well spent right there.
And that was the best signing they made, period. Everything else. And I think Jonnu was next to it because looking at the Atlanta Falcons, again, we're going to start with some positives because Dre, you my guy, you Atlanta Falcon fan, and I'm going to start off with some positives. You got it right with Jesse Bates. Everybody loved Jesse Bates, obviously. Oh, not loved it. I hated that.
Hold on, wait. You say I'm a Falcon fan? Wait a minute. About to say, wait a minute. Don't curse me out like that, man. I'm about to okay.
I hope not. Let me find out you got that.
Heck no.
Nah, Dre Murphy in our chat. He shows mad love here, man. We appreciate him.
Okay.
He's a Falcon fan, so I'm gonna start off there. And your true rivals. That's the Saints' true rivals. We're gonna talk about them, but yeah, man, I got to start with Jesse Bates, man. He's everything as advertised with the Cincinnati Bengals coming over to the Atlanta Falcons. It's just sad that he's with the Atlanta Falcons. That man is all over the field. He gets it. It don't matter what system he's put in. The man is a baller, man. He's out there just doing – I mean, that defense is better. I know they have your old defensive line coach, but you're not doing half the stuff you're doing without Jesse Bates on that back end.
Yep.
The defensive line looks a lot better, but it's still nothing to write home. Calais Campbell, I think they probably came in thinking that he was only going to play maybe 40-50% of the snap. That ain't going to happen. He's going to play 80 to 90. They about to use him up this year. I don't know if he's on a 1-year deal or he has a multiple deal.
Yeah, he's on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, they're going to get that 1 year out of him. And it ain't going to be because there's nothing else behind it. Bud Dupree was, we're going to continue to see. I said this at the beginning. I'm going to continue to say it. He ain't what you thought. He's going to come off on the edge. He's not that good. He's not a pass rusher like that. He's going to maybe give you a spin move here or there and get to the quarterback and make you excited, but he's not that. Their corners have been playing pretty well.
Yep.
Except for the lacks. I think AJ Terrell has this problem in his brain where he can't be good all the time. I think he thinks too much and he'll blow a coverage that will really hurt them a lot.
Yeah,
and that's what happened last game for that touchdown to Calvin Ridley. I know that felt good. Calvin Ridley did not have his best game. I know that felt good just to score on that. But the highlight of and the reason the Falcons are gonna have problems and be unsuccessful this year unless they bring in Heineke is Desmond Ridder. I was a Desmond Ridder guy. I will admit.
Me too.
I liked him coming out of college with Cincinnati. I liked his dog. I liked the way he carried himself. I don't know if he has that same bravado that he had in college.
Right.
The way he was able to just feel like he was a leader with that team. Maybe he doesn't feel that in the NFL.
Right.
But he had a moxie about him. I know they love that with Mayfield. And I thought that, along with his tough play, was going to be something for the Falcons.
Yeah.
Man, so far have I been wrong. That is not the case. And part of it might be Desmond Ridder, but you got to also look at the head coach. Arthur Smith, Look at his days with Tennessee. Again, TJ and we both watch football. Tennessee has never been known for good quarterback play.
Yep.
Never.
No. I take no. You gotta give Steve McNair. Come on, man. You gotta give Steve McNair
that one good year.
What?
He had that what? He had.
Man, you ain't about to disrespect L. McNair like that, man. Rest him. Man,
I'm not talking about Arthur. I'm talking about Arthur Smith.
Oh, Arthur Smith. Okay. I'm about to say. Okay, I'm about to say that. Now we talking about the archives. Like we got to talk Mark Moon, Steve Mc. Okay, but yeah, I got you. I got you.
I was a huge Stephen McNair fan. I lost his jersey. I bought it. I used to be a football fan, so I had 1,000 jerseys.
Yeah.
That was my game.
Yeah, and he went to Alcorn. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta have some respect. I went to Jackson State, so I hate Alcorn with a passion. But I gotta give love to Steve McNair, man.
Shout out to Derek. Hey, talk smack now too.
I talk smack about you.
I'm warming up to it when we come to these damn Falcons because
you
there was another person on this podcast that was supposed to be part of the circle. He was supposed to be a guy like us, being family men that speak the truth and will stand on your 10 toes down, no matter what when it comes to your team. And that's Mr. Sean J. I got people in here, and I'm gonna say this: that was some very weak, estrogen-filled BS you pulled in that round table, and to not fool with us anymore because I muted you for 30 seconds. That was some coward stuff. And for you to back out of this as well speaks to, outside of you, Dre, your fan base too. Y'all are just weak. You're weak. You don't show up for your team. You only want to show up when things are hot, and you fall and you disappear because it's hard to find Atlanta Falcon commentators outside of their little circle that will want to step out and actually speak on their team because they can't stand 10 toes down. So that's my little tirade on them. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm sorry, TJ, you had to get that. But I haven't been able to talk about that until now because when Mike told me he wasn't coming today, I was going to give him another chance. And he pulled the stunt that he did today. You a coward, dog. I'm going to let you know that right now. Now, going back into this team. What I was saying with Arthur Smith is he has not shown that he can develop a quarterback, which I think is part of the Desmond Ridder issue that they're having with this team. And I think also their weapons aren't as good as advertised, be it Drake London, Mac Hollins, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts looks like that injury might have really turned him down for the worse because he does not look like the same player when running routes and being as aggressive for the ball when it's thrown his way. Like, so I've been watching this team and it just don't look good. And I think Arthur Smith kind of knew that's why he got Bijan Robinson, because now Bijan Robinson is the offense. And everything's going to run through Bijan Robinson from what I'm seeing because he's still fresh legs, a fresh, rookie that know nothing but winning and, doing what he do. And, he's amazing. That's why he was my favorite player coming out of this draft. And, he's going to shine through even when everything around him looks like shit. And that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to pass, run through him, check down, and just hope Bijan can just stir up some magic. I just don't see nothing with his offense, Mike, TJ. Please tell me something different that you've seen with the Atlanta Falcons.
Look, I already said I'm a Saints fan. I can't stand the Atlanta Falcons, but I'm going to be 100% real. The Atlanta Falcons have the highest ceiling in the NFC South right now. They are, like, honestly, I watched every last one of their games. They are a quarterback away from being a legit team in the National Football League. Seriously. And I want them to start winning. Like, I want them to start winning to a point where they're away from guys like Michael Penix, away from guys like Caleb Williams, Drake May. I want them to be away from those type of – I'm telling you, like, based on their offensive line, their running game, their defense kind of reminds me, I can say this because, Ryan Nielsen came from the Saints, but it reminds me like when the Saints moved from Rob Ryan back to Dennis Allen. Like, they were good, but not as good. And in the following year, that's when they became like an elite team. I'm serious, man. Like, I got to get, like, anybody that know me know I keep it 100. They are a quarterback away from being the best team in NFC South. They got the talent when it comes to Tyler Algier and Bijan. Like, they basically constructed their team to kind of be similar to the Tennessee Titans. Like, big offensive line, running the football, short and intermediate passes. I mean, look at Jonnu Smith. That's the reason why he's the leading receiver. They are a quarterback away from like being a legitimate contender in the NFC South. I'm just glad that they have shown us that they cannot get out of their own way. So I hope, you know what I'm saying? Like if they fail this season, I hope they get rid of Arthur Smith. That would be the dumbest decision ever. Like, because now he's got the team to where it could actually be a contender. I'm telling you, if they just so happen, let's just say Shadur Sanders ends up coming out, you know what I'm saying, this year, you know, he's probably going to be like a late round, first round pick. Somebody like that goes to the Atlanta Falcons will be a contender for the next 4 to 5 years. Like, they're a good football team. Like, seriously, like I'm not even going to hate. Like, the way they are constructed right now, they can win. Desmond Ridder is the reason why they probably aren't number one in the division right now, because Desmond Ridder is not it. He's just not it. He's a guy, if you come up with a game plan, he'll be able to carry it out. But when it comes to like making the play to win the game, I can't see him making that game in, game out like some of these other young quarterbacks can do. So they're a quarterback away, man. I can't even hate.
I think on surface you're right. I really do, but I don't have anything to stand on to tell me that Arthur Smith can actually take a quarterback and make them look good. It just, like I said, as an offensive coordinator with Tennessee, I didn't see it. I think Ryan Tannehill got worse coming to Tennessee than he was with Miami. And Marcus Mariota, if you really look at what they were doing early in the season last year, it molded well with what Arthur Smith wants in the run game of what he did well. That's why they were winning those games early. They were having that until people kind of was like, all right, he ain't throwing it past 20 yards, which I get that. But with that extension of the run with the quarterback, it makes that offense look like, oh, this could be a little dangerous. Because, like I said, I'm still up in the air with Drake. I'm still like, their weapons are still arguably one of the worst in the division. And I don't know, but like you said, there's some really good quarterbacks coming out this year, and that's why, as a Bucs fan, we'll get into that later, I do think that we might be looking at a quarterback in the first round, even if we do re-sign Baker Mayfield. But you should.
Yeah. I mean, this is a loaded draft, DJ 2024. Like,
why is Michael Penix not being talked about? Like, if you watch a lot of these like rankings, they're not trying to rank this guy. He has the highest QBR, and I watched already 2 games of Washington.
Yeah, me too.
Why are more people not talking about Michael Penix? I don't understand it. That's been bothering me. I know that we could go on that for days, but
same thing with Hendon Hooker. Feel like he a system quarterback. That's what it is. Like they did the same thing with Hendon Hooker. Like,
he was last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, but you know the crazy thing about it is they big up in Bo Nix though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was trying to get you to go there.
I'm saying like they big like the same. Like, you can make an argument. Why is it that Bo Nix looks so much better at Oregon as he did at Auburn? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody paying. Oh, you know, Bo Nix, look what he's doing. Look what Michael Penix is doing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. How can one guy be assistant quarterback and the other guy supposed to be top 5 pick? Man, miss me with that. That man deserves. I'm talking Michael Penix deserves to be in this conversation.
Oh, he deserves more attention than he's getting. But, you know, sorry, we don't want to tire of that. But yeah, I agree. I think that Arthur Smith, he will need like a top tier quarterback to, I think, even look like he knows, you know, when it comes from a passing standpoint, that can kind of trade on his own player that has an arm that can do that. I think he does that at quarterback. That takes a little bit off of him. I don't know if he knows how to develop a quarterback. Right? That's just my opinion.
I mean, fair assessment. Fair.
Yeah. So it's gonna be pending on who they get next, but how much longer can they sit here and not start Tyler Henneke? Is my
I hope they honestly. I
and
hope
might
they
not do it because they might want to get in the running for one of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, that too. That's a good point. That's a good point because the offense will look better with Taylor Heineke. Like Taylor Heineke, he's a baller. He's a ball. Like you're not going to win every game, but he is going to make games very, very interesting. They got some games he probably going to look like a really good quarterback, like top tier. And then the next week you're like, what the hell were you thinking? You know what I'm saying? Like, so Baker Mayfield.
Hey, man, appreciate you with all the love you're giving, but Baker might be, and he might be there for a couple of years. But we'll get into that next. I don't want to start throwing my Tampa into the Falcons breakdown of the first quarter. But yeah.
What about their schedule, man? I mean, when you talk about that, who they got?
All right.
Who they got?
Yeah, I think I got that. Yeah, okay. So, all right. So, and I'm on the wrong screen. I know it's on the screen, but I like it on here too. There you go. Okay. All right. So they beat Carolina, which they're in all kinds of dismay, which should be expected. Right. This Green Bay game, they should have lost this game. If it wasn't from Jordan Love butt fumbling impression that he did by thinking he hiked the ball without getting the ball, the ball started the way he did, Green Bay wins that game. But they won. I give them kudos for that. They came back in that game. They showed a lot of heart in that game and beat Green Bay. That was a good win for them.
Right.
Detroit, that was not shocking. Detroit's playing out of their mind. We got to play them out the bye, and that's going to be a problem we got to deal with. But we ain't got it this week. Is it y'all that got it or Carolina? It's y'all, right?
Yeah.
Detroit?
Yeah. You saying did they say that again?
I said, y'all have Detroit next or do the Carolina Panthers? I think
Carolina Panthers do. Yeah, Carolina Panthers have Detroit next. We play New England. The Saints play New England this weekend.
Okay. And everybody woke up to this massacre, and that's where all the Desmond Ridder questions have to come out, and when it's Taylor Heineke come. Any thoughts with the first quarter? Is this what you expected? Is this something you think they're going to do a little better, worse? Where you at with it?
I think they're on brand. I mean that Green Bay game was a little bit of a shocker. I would have switched out the Green Bay game. I would have thought they would have lost, and I thought they probably would have beat Jacksonville. So I would have had them at 2-2 at this point.
I thought 1-3. That might be a little bit of hating, but I honestly knew they were going to beat Carolina. That was everybody was signing for that one. I just didn't see it happening, and I thought they were going to lose the rest of these games. I think I would have been right if Butt Fumble didn't do what he did, but it is what it is. Now going into these next four, they got Houston at home, Washington at home, Tampa coming to our house, and they go into Tennessee after that. What do you think they're going to do in this second quarter?
Honestly, I think they're going to lose to Houston. I do. I think they're going to lose to Houston. I think they're going to I think they're probably going to lose to Washington too. I think they might beat Tampa. I think they might beat y'all this first time around. And I think they probably gonna beat Tennessee. So I think they probably gonna go 2-2.
Okay, I hear you. Houston ain't gonna be interesting. I'm gonna go 1-3. I think they're gonna go 1-3.
Man. Really?
And I think
I can see it. I can see it though. I can see it.
I think they're gonna beat Houston and they're gonna lose the next 3 after that. And that Washington game is gonna break Desmond Ridder's streak since college. Did you know since his streak since college, he is 28-0 in home appearances?
Wow.
Desmond Ridder. He's 4-0 with the Atlanta Falcons, and I think 26-0 when he was with Cincinnati at home.
That's incredible right there.
That was an interesting stat. I think it was going to come to an end. It's the NFL.
It sounded like somebody was just digging. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a stat that means absolutely nothing in hindsight. But look, I look, man, it's they are, like I'm saying, they almost there. They're almost there. Like they just need a quarterback. I I just hope that they win enough games to push them further back where they don't get one of those elite ones. Like, I'm serious. Like, they're a good football team. They're there. I can't stand them. Like, I'm serious, man. I can't stand them. But as a realist and covering the NFL and stuff like that, man, I gotta be honest. Like, they have a high ceiling, man. Like, they have a really high ceiling.
Right. I mean, I can be honest about that. I think you're telling the truth about that. But we're gonna find out how good of Arthur Smith when, like you said. I know.
Yeah.
If we look at 2024, but if he gets a quarterback in the first round next year, and I think he has to hit quick. I don't think it's one of those things. If it plays out this way, right? And we're obviously in the first quarter, anything can happen at this point. But as what we've seen so far, it feels like this is going to be another losing season, which is going to make 4 for Arthur Smith. How many coaches have you known that have 4 losing seasons to continue coaching?
Good point. And also, I think to think about something that you said. What if they do have a bad season? They end up getting a top-ranked quarterback, and they get like a head coach like Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator from Detroit.
You cook a little bit of grease now.
Like, who knows, man?
My opinion will change. I promise you that. I think he's a hell of a coach.
Yeah, me too. I think he gonna be good, and that's what that's the wave right now, DJ. Offensive innovators, these young, vibrant coaches with a lot of energy. That's what teams are going for right now, man. And he's next to Jim Harbaugh. He's probably the hottest future head coach, NFL coach, I should say, on the market.
Well, let Rick Stroud tell it. Apparently, Dave Canales is already 4 games being an offensive coordinator.
I got to give him credit too. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't believe it. I think he's going. We'll get into that later. But but if they get somebody like a Ben Johnson, which makes sense, you bring in a rookie quarterback first round with more of a modern look coach, which have been having success across. We already talked about, or have been having success early. So I kind of hope they don't go that route. I hope they do stick with Arthur Smith. I think he's limited as a coach. So I hope Arthur Smith remains.
Yeah. Me too. I mean, for the sake of my team, but man, the way the Saints going, like, I can't have Ben Johnson up in this joint. Shoot, we'll lose every game.
I don't want that either.
Yeah, we'll lose every game.
All right. Any final thoughts on the Atlanta Falcons, man? Hope you said, I guess you want them to keep winning.
Yeah, I mean, I want them to keep winning, for draft purposes. So, yeah.
All right. So TJ sees them 2-2. I'm being as honest as I can. I think they'll 1-3.
Yeah. All right. You want to bed?
All right. And for the defending division champs and leading the division, which nobody in their mama, except myself and a couple other Bucs fans, thought this was even possible.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Oh, my bad. I'm going to stats because obviously.
Let me go ahead get them up. I'm gonna get them up too, so I can kind of follow along here.
All right. Baker Mayfield, 882 yards.
Balling.
I mean, we can go even deeper with that because he's playing out of his mind. Rashad White, 206 yards. Mike Evans, 337 yards. Anquan Winfield, who has to be mentioned, that man is playing out of his damn mind. 31.
That man trying to get that contract.
Man, he's been playing. He's been a really good player for us, but he's playing an all-pro level right now.
Yeah, he is.
D. Delaney, another player that, and this is where I think the conversation where I'm going to start. D. Delaney with 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
Todd freaking Bowles. Salute to you, my guy. This man can develop players. I want to just start off with that.
Mm-hmm.
D. Delaney, Zion McCullum, Shaq Barrett, you can really put there. Even I think Devin White, Anquan Winfield.
Yep.
I mean, just the players that he has there. Jamel Dean, a lot of players didn't think he was good coming out of Auburn. He's developed into one of the better cornerbacks in this league. He has developed a lot of players in that defense that are playing at a high level. Mike Edwards that got a contract.
Right.
Like, so we can talk about players that left. Whitehead that's now with the Jets. That stuff all started in Tampa. That man knows how to get to these players and coach up, especially when it comes to secondary pieces. He just knows how to coach these players up. He does a hell of a job with them.
Yep.
And it comes into why I think this team is having so much success is because he understands personnel and players. He really does. He understands all that stuff. I saw something today where they were talking about how players just come to his office and sit in his office and just talk ball with him. I mean, just talk different life ball and everything. I don't know how normal that is around the league where the head coach of the team just has a bunch of players in his office just talking ball. I don't know how normal it is, but I think that means a lot. I think that shows you that they're buying into everything this guy is selling.
Right.
I mean, from this offseason, and I didn't like the way things happened last year, and I had my opinions with that in regards to, I didn't think a lot of it had to do with Todd Bowles, and I was very adamant about that. I was very clear about that. I thought it had a lot to do with Byron Leftwich. I thought it had a lot to do with Tom Brady and the stuff that he had going on in his life. And I think to the point, I think what happened in his life where he was like, football just ain't it no more. He's losing his kids, losing his wife.
All right.
Even though he already signed up for it, he's a man of his word. He's going to still come out here and play. But when do you see Tom Brady going to other places at 10 marriages? When you see Tom Brady come in looking like a skeleton, just looking unhealthy, I mean, it just didn't all the way be there. And now we have two sample sizes of Byron Leftwich as an offensive coordinator with Arizona, now with the Bucs, and it just don't look good. And it seems like he don't want to hear nothing from nobody when he is the guy. Like, he does not. He's just going to do what he thinks he needs to do. He has a playbook, and he's going to call it the way he sees fit. He even said in press conferences that he don't really care what teams are doing, because when his playbook is executed to a T, it can't be stopped. Like, he had an arrogance about him with that, and it didn't really matter about the personnel. He just was, again, about that. Fast forward into, and I think the way Bruce Arians left this team, there was an understanding that I'm leaving everybody in place, because BA is a very faithful person to people. He's not. And he said, if I'm going to step down, this is who I want to be the head coach. I still want my people to be there.
Right.
Because he's still looking at like they're going to have success. He's looking at a bunch of black coaches that aren't getting opportunities around the league. And he's thinking, I'm going to put all these guys together, and they're going to show why you need to give more of these type of guys opportunities around the league. I think that was Bruce Arians' idea when he stepped down. Wow. And Todd, this was his chance, and he knows this is his last chance. And he was like, all right, cool. We're going to run with it. There was reports, like I'm going to start fast forwarding this a little bit, that Todd wanted to fire Byron Leftwich in the middle of the season because there was just no chemistry with them. They could not see eye to eye. And it just, obviously, we saw what happened. It turned into an 8-9 season. Right. The first thing he did when that season went over, he fired Byron Leftwich. He let Tristan Wirfs know you're going to left tackle. He started making very good changes for the better for this team. Right. And I was watching it. I thought we had a hell of a draft. I'm backing this up so much because this is why I came into this season believing what I believe. Right. I just watched every move that this man was making, and it felt like the GM, Todd Bowles, and then you brought in Dave Canellis that kind of brought a different energy. A guy that's kind of been an unknown commodity as an offensive, he was a quarterback coach. But I think they did a lot of research on this man. If you looked at Dave Canellis as an offensive coordinator, he had 2018-19 Russell Wilson, two of his best statistical years. You watch Geno Smith. And then, obviously, the minds that he was around with Shane Waldron. They're slipping my mind. But he was around some very innovative. Sean McVay, he was around that a little bit with somebody else. I can't remember who it is. My bad. I had it all, but I forgot it. I'm getting older. My brain is my tail right now. So I see me pause sometimes. I be forgetting shit. But yeah, man. Dave Canales, everybody loved to sign him, but still thought that Todd Bowles was lame. If you like the draft, what he did, he had no money to spend this year to get any free agents. Like the offensive coordinator that he got, and he did the digging. Because there was a lot of interviews and people were like, who is he going to pick? This, that, and the third. That was his decision. All right. So he picked his guy. And Dave Canales was giving Todd so much credit for trying to accelerate things for him because he's never called plays before. And Todd Bowles is a top 5 defensive coordinator, and he talked about how he threw everything at me. He made him start calling plays before normally teams start doing that stuff because he knew there was going to be a curve for Dave Canales. So he's always been ahead of what he was hiring and what would it take for him to be somewhat comparable coming into the season.
Right.
So I felt good. The things I was hearing, I'm hearing Mike Evans for his first time in his career is more open than he's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
It was just very interesting and hearing the different play action, moving the pocket, rolling out. As Bucs fans, we have not seen that since ever, really. Not since Dirk Cutter or BA. They were drop back vertical offenses.
Right.
We're not used to seeing that.
Yep.
So coming into the season, that will be something that nobody that's used to playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have seen in 8-9 years.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember before that. I'm trying to remember.
Nah, it's been a hot minute, But when I think about it, man, I just think that they made the right decisions. You think about you think about Dave Canales. You mentioned it. He spent most of his time in Seattle. He was very instrumental. Like you said about with Russell Wilson having those really good seasons. I want to say, he that year where he was up for MVP. And you got to also take into account, look what he did with Geno Smith. Geno Smith was comeback player of the year. So by them understanding, okay, man, we're going to roll with Baker Mayfield, somebody that the league has given up on, a la Geno Smith. We're going to bring him in here and try to see if we can fix him. I've always said this. I said this. Like when people were like criticizing Baker, a lot of that stuff was just hyperbole and he was the first overall. You know how they try to signal out first overall picks and, just basically if they don't just come out the gate just being awesome, they just feel like, oh, man, there's no place for him. I always say, man, I think that Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback, and I think that he's a lot better than people give him credit for.
Right.
People laughed at me. I'm like, okay, whatever. But as you can see, he is. And you have to give credit where credit is due to a guy who understands that in order for this quarterback to succeed, I have to find out everything is about him. What is his strengths? What are his weaknesses? And let's see if we can, let's amplify his strengths and minimize his weaknesses. And that's what they did. And as you can see, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's making really good decisions. I want to say it was QBR, if I'm not mistaken, like 101 or something like that, like crazy. So they did the right things, I just think you may not want to hear this, man, but his track record and his ability to be able to develop quarterbacks, especially those quarterbacks that look like they on their way out, he's going to look very, very appealing when these head coaching jobs come out. I'm just being honest with you, because look who these guys were left for dead. Like nobody expected Geno Smith to win anything. Nobody expected Baker Mayfield to look as good as he did. If Tampa continues to win and Baker Mayfield continues to look impressive, he's gonna be like one of the top sought out coaches for one of these head coaching jobs when it's all said and done.
I think it's true, but I don't think he would take it. And the reason why I say this is
really,
I don't think so. I think that look at his track record. I'm just looking from, like I said, this is not me just being a Bucs fan. I'm looking at his track record of who he is as a person. He was with Pete Carroll from USC days and basically took any position that Pete Carroll, for he can learn a lot of the offensive side of the ball. He was a wide receivers coach. He did that for many years. He's a quarterback coach, passing game coordinator. I think he had 1 year as he did a little bit of offensive coordinator, but he never really did it. But he's a very loyal man, and I've listened to Dave Canales more than obviously he's my offensive coordinator, but he's a very loyal guy, and he's a very God-fearing guy. And I think that he's not one of these guys that just jump. And I think he's a very honest and transparent guy. He tells you exactly what he's thinking. He doesn't sugarcoat nothing. He gives answers, maybe too many answers sometimes. But I don't think he's going to jump ship after 1 year to go to a head coaching job with a franchise that's in disarray. I think he's trying to become a better offensive coordinator because he's still lacking in that area a little bit. He has not, as of yet, done what he wants to do. He wants to run the ball. He makes that very clear in many of his press conferences that he wants to be successful there. That's why looking at Rachaad White being at 206 yards, your top running back, and I think our average is under 4. It's probably closer to 2. That's
DJ,
not what he wants, right?
Right. DJ, I hold on. Let me say this, man. I don't want to rain on your parade. I really don't, man. And
look at Ben Johnson.
I think you know Dave Cannella is much better than me. You know what I'm saying? You follow the guy. I mean, that's your squad. But I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking from like a 2024 NFL draft standpoint. Like based on I mean, these guys got to play the game on a professional level. But you can make an argument based on like how these guys are playing the quarterback position that this might be the best draft for quarterback that you ever seen. Like I'm just saying right now, based on statistics, all that, like you got to play the game. This guy, if he was to get a head coaching job, he would probably inherit a really good quarterback. And that might be the franchise quarterback and to lead whatever franchise that he becomes the head coach to the promised land. I'm just saying, like, you may say, like, maybe in, like, let's just say this year. Let's just say he was the offensive coordinator last year, and, I feel like he probably, more than likely, probably would have stayed. But based on the talent that you have coming into the NFL in 2024, like, even if he doesn't decide, okay, man, maybe this is not the job for me, I still think if they call him up, he's probably going to be taking some interviews, man, because these are some really, like, these are some generational quarterbacks that you have right here, man. Like, these are some guys that's, like, the NFL is kind of weak when it comes to the quarterback position this year. And these guys are coming in, are going to make the NFL a little bit more, a little bit more balanced, especially in the NFC, man. It's not too many. So I don't know, man. I just feel like you kind of have to be a fool not to consider a head coaching job if it presents it. Like I said, you know him better than me, but I'm just saying, based on what's coming out,
Ben Johnson, I think he'll go on interviews, see what's out there. But let's think about what the teams are going to be out there anyway. I mean, their teams are in disarray. Again, I don't know who's going to bring in as a defensive coordinator. Right now, it's more of him, again, like to be a quarterback coach, to now, first time offensive coordinator, now be a head coach. That means I'm going to have to bring an offensive coordinator, defensive. That's going to be a lot. And like I said, this guy is a very calculated guy by everything that I see from him. Again, I could be completely wrong with this tape. But again, I'm just basing it off of what I've seen from this guy. I don't see him being a one and done type, NBA type person. I just don't see it from everything I've seen from him at least. Like I think he's somebody that likes to complete the mission. Right. And then be like, all right, I'm now I am the hottest guy, and somebody's gonna have to roll out a bank to come get me. All right. I think the Bucs are gonna pay him as well to continue to be there. And there's history with him and Baker. He's one of the people that won Seattle to trade for Baker.
DJ, let me say this, man. Okay, so follow me on this. Okay, man, you living out, you know what I'm saying? You living out there in the Charlotte area, you know what I'm saying? House, family, you know what I'm saying? Job, all that kind of stuff there, right? Comfortable. Let's just say, for example, somebody calls you up in Seattle, Washington, and say, DJ, I got an opportunity for you, man. You're going to be making this amount of money right here. You ain't got to worry about anything, man. You know what I'm saying? We like select a house. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make sure that we get the movers and stuff like that. It's going to make a smooth transition, right? Even though you comfortable in the position that you're at, you know what I'm saying? Everything is fine. You're going to think about that. You're going to be like, man, this is a great. Yeah, this is like this
on the other side. I have a very strong feeling. I'm not just saying that because of the situation. I'm real about like.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, you still gonna like think of the opportunity.
I'm see it too. Yeah.
Because you're gonna think about, man, this is a great opportunity, and this may not be an opportunity that's not gonna come around all the time. Like I said, I feel what you're saying, but when you have an opportunity, let's just say you had a chance to coach Caleb Williams, get a chance to coach Drake May, Jordan Travis, Michael Penix. Like, man, that's tough. Like, just to sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna be an offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, but I got a chance to coach a guy who people are comparing to Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's tough, man. That is tough. Like, it is tough to walk away from something like that. I understand you said grass ain't always green on the other side, sure, but at the same time,
these owners,
coaching opportunities don't come around all the time either, man.
If you that good, yes, they will. Because we've been talking about Jim Harbaugh for about 4-5 years. Even with all the different coaches coming through, they still knocking at his door every single year.
Fair enough.
Are you ready yet?
Fair enough. Good point. Like I said, man, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
At a high level, they're going to come and find you, and they're going to continue to ask you a question. Are you ready yet? I'll give you more than I offered you last time.
Yeah, man. I think that this guy's a good coach. Based on his resume, it shows you he got it out the mud. So it's easy for a person to root for a guy like this. But at the same time, a person that got it out the mud and they working themselves up, the ranks, I think that he deserves it. So I think he deserves an opportunity. If they continue to play like this, let's put that out there. If they continue to play like this,
caveat to this.
Yeah, if they continue to play the way that they are, and if Baker continues to be on an uptick, I mean, you're gonna have some owners that are going to be knocking at his door, trying to acquire your service. So,
hey, I 100% agree with you, and it's going to be something to watch. That's going to be the biggest question for the Bucs going forward. But again, I trust my head coach. I like Todd Bowles. I think he's a very calculated guy, and if it does play out that way, he's going to do the same due diligence if it comes to that. But I honestly don't think it will. But
okay,
it's going to be something to watch for the Bucs.
Yeah.
Keep this streak going. So. I guess, that was the big talking point for Tampa is that part. Anything else that you kind of want to know, or you seeing that? I guess we really talk about Baker. I mean, I guess I didn't mention it.
Yeah.
I mean, Baker playing out his mind. I'm not going to call myself, I was a Baker non-believer. I wouldn't call me a hater because I didn't hate on the dude. I just think he showed me enough where it's like, it felt like you were more in the star. Like you wanted to be more of a star than you just wanted to be a great quarterback. But it seems like now the league has humbled him and he's gotten with a team because everything that came out sounds like Baker was eyeing the Bucs as a place and an opportunity for him to show, no, I'm not that guy I think y'all seen in Carolina, which I don't think anybody took that.
No, that was awful. That was god awful.
And I'm not that guy you saw with, Cleveland the couple years with the injury and everything like that. I'm better than that. And I think him meeting the coach and just everything, I think everything's just married together because for him to take $4 million to come and play, and they also told him that you're going to be in a competition with Kyle Trask, he didn't care. That showed growth that I didn't know Baker could have, right? And you can see it within his play. I mean, you can see the confidence. He never seems unwavering. He looks like you said, back in his college days. He just looks like a very comfortable, he's comfortable with the team around him. I mean, this guy's taking the offensive line to the Bahamas, to golf. Like, who takes that? But that's him too. Like, I think he's being comfortable with being himself. We're not seeing no Baker Mayfield commercials. You know what I'm saying? He's not doing no commercials right now.
All right.
He's tuned in. We're seeing a Baker I think we've never seen in this league from a mental capacity. And it's helping him play on the field. And he understands his last chance as well. And I expect him to continue to play. And I'm shocked to say myself to play pretty well, the rest of this season.
Yeah. And that's why you got to be careful too, man, about these narratives. And I just think that it's understandable though, DJ. It's like I'm on here, as a Saints fan, you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. You know way more about Tampa than I do. So a lot of the things that I hear about the team, I'm getting the cliff notes from you and other people, right? So a lot of the narratives that they have around the National Football League when it comes to these quarterbacks are because of these talking heads on shows. People listen to these shows and they go to your local barbershops or they go to your schools and they carry these narratives. So when they say stuff like Baker Mayfield is unfixable, right? Like people start to apply that to their narrative. But if you look at it, like if you peel back the layers, let's talk about this for a second. Look at Carolina. You know, look at the shape that they're in, right? Look at Cleveland, right? I mean, you got Deshaun Watson, who in Houston looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Under Kevin Stefanski, he looks like a mere shell of himself. So when are people going to look at these coaches and hold these coaches accountable instead of like just focusing solely on these players? It matters where you're drafted. It matters who coaches you. Like that stuff matters. Like as much as people want to feel like a quarterback being picked at a certain spot should be able to overcome his situation, that's not true. That's just not true, man. You need the right coach. You need the right coordinators around you. You need the right players around you, and you need a certain level of support where you can live up to your full potential. That's why, man. I just don't understand like why people don't look at football in that way. Like they just feel like a person is just supposed to like be all world. Like it has to be the right situation. Like as much as talented as Patrick Mahomes is, I feel like he is more talented because of Andy Reid. Like, I mean, look, think about this, DJ. Andy Reid is responsible for taking the Philadelphia Eagles to 5 straight NFC championship games, had Donovan McNabb as one of the top players in the league. Michael Vick, 2 years in prison, came back, comeback player of the year. Kevin Cobb got paid in Houston. Alex Smith had a little bit of a rebirth in Kansas City before Patrick Mahomes got there. So all of that stuff matters. But when you look at like certain coaches and stuff like that, like it's funny to me how organizations are willing to throw the players under the bus to save the face of the coaches. And as you look at Kevin Stefanski, you look at Matt Rule, some of the coaches that Baker Mayfield has had throughout his NFL career, they're having a rough outing. One of them not even in the league anymore. So when are we going to start looking at this like maybe it's the coaching? Maybe we need to start looking at who these guys have as their coordinators, their coaches, before we just completely just throw these guys away. And Baker Mayfield is a prime example of that.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you with quarterbacks in their first contract. They're now throwing the books at these quarterbacks, which is dismantling your team.
Right.
Everything that made you the player that you are with some of these players that are getting paid these max contracts are losing everything around them through these contracts. And you tell me outside of Patrick Mahomes, a quarterback that's been better, at least as of late, getting paid a big contract. You won't find it. I already checked. No, yeah. I mean, there hasn't been a player. You basically seems like with quarterbacks, well, I guess with just about all positions,
right?
You basically paying for what they did opposed to what they're about to do because they're not winning divisions consistently. They're not going deep in playoff runs. They're not giving you the bang for the buck that you're paying for. It's, in my opinion, handicapping your team. And I'm not gonna say that. Well, Daniel Jones, I've been taking too many shots at Daniel Jones. I'm gonna leave him alone today. But
yeah. There's always an exception to the rule, man.
I mean, no, Joe Burrow. I mean, Justin Herbert, I think he's still playing good ball, but that team's about to get dismantled. I mean, they can't keep playing for everybody. That's why one reason why they didn't pay Austin Eckler. I'm trying to think that Dak Prescott. Have you seen the Dak Prescott from his his first contract since? That's how he got that big contract. I know they had Zeke too, but he ain't really ever eclipsed anything he did in his his rookie contract. I mean, these quarterbacks aren't, and I think that's something they got to start looking at because it's funny how we look at the GOAT, right? Tom Brady has never been a top 5 paid quarterback in the NFL, but is the most winningest player ever.
Yeah.
But he never handicapped his team to the place where they couldn't keep the players around him to continue to keep that team successful.
Yeah, I mean, but you can make an argument that he didn't have to, like look who his wife was. I know people like, like that.
But winner's winning.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't want to make an excuse.
Shots at running backs. Look at Tom Brady took this. Yeah. Why is there anybody getting paid more than Tom Brady got paid, and you don't even win Super Bowls like he did? I mean, I'm just saying, like,
good. That's fair. That's a fair point.
Because other players on the team got to get paid for you to continue to be successful. I'm sorry, it has to happen that way.
Yeah.
But again, that's the league problem. I'm not going to go on too much on that, but that's something to think about. I think teams need to start thinking about that because we start paying players. They take a deep breath and kind of take a little bit, take a step down a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I got paid. I ain't got my money.
That's my fear. I don't think it's gonna happen with Baker. Say Baker finishes this year, have a hell of a year. Now we got to throw some money at him. Is he gonna try to go for that max deal? If he do, hey, like you just said, sell some picks and go get one of these quarterbacks because you're not that far away. If you're able to keep Dave Canales and he's already shown he can coach quarterbacks, get you a rookie.
I don't think you had that issue with Baker Mayfield.
I don't think so.
I mean, he was the first pick overall. I mean, so he already, got a good little share of the pie, and he also has something to prove here, so it's not like one of those situations where he just came to the league, set it on fire or something like that, and he just was disgruntled and left. I mean, he has something to prove. Like, he has to prove that he can be a legit quarterback in this league. So if you have an opportunity to do that, with a team and an offensive coordinator, seems like it's a match made in heaven. You want to milk that thing for all it's worth, man. And this team is giving you an opportunity, man. So, I mean, not a lot of teams were willing to do that. So I think that you should pay them in really good play. And I think they'll compensate him accordingly. But he also has to be realistic about where he is as a quarterback at that point. And you still have to prove, you have to have a nice enough sample size to say that you actually turned the corner here, so it's probably not going to come in a max deal. Like, nobody's going to give you that. You're going to have to work for that. So that's what your agents are for.
Type deal. If he continues to play.
Right.
And again, that's fine. And in my opinion, and I'm going to keep my opinion, you draft a quarterback this year in the first round to get that 5-year contract because there's too many. Even say we are in the 20s this next year, somebody's still going to be pretty good at that quarterback position, and you feel really confident with the guy you have already in the house to train them up, even if they aren't, your Caleb Williams and your Michael Penix and stuff like that. I mean, you can get yourself a Malik Cunningham, who's I feel like the 5th highest QBR right now in the league. I don't like that dude. I'm gonna say right now, Ron Reynolds. I don't like him, so I'm gonna get him. But you're gonna still, I think, get a really good prospect even in the 20s at the quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, this is deep, man. DJ, this is a deep draft, man. Honestly, I'm looking forward to going to Senior Bowl Combine this year, man, because I mean, just being able to watch like that in real time, man, watching these cats, like, I know it's going to be amazing, man.
Yeah, quarterback play is the best I've seen in college in a while.
Oh, yes, man. Like, man, high completion percentage, making all the throws. Like, you can't really go wrong. Like, I think the only thing you're probably going to be looking for is mental makeup because all of these guys got talent.
I don't think. Well, Deion already said Shador ain't coming out, and I know why he said that because he's looking at it too. Like, there's too many good quarterbacks out here, and he wants to take another year with his son as well. But I don't think Shador's coming out. I think.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like, he making mad bank at Colorado.
Dre, I've given him a Kyle Trask before he even drafted. Like Kyle Trask. Hey, all right, I'll give him a bone. Kyle Trask looked better this preseason than I think ever. And I think, again, that comes back to my offensive coordinator. I think he has taken leaps and bounds. And I think he also got with a really good quarterback coach, which John Wolford, our third quarterback, he got coached up by. And I think that helped him tremendously. Because he talked about how it's just his posture and how he stands up, higher now when he throws. He just talked about different things that he wasn't doing prior to this year. Yeah. And you're seeing it translate. And I think he's going to be a good backup. I don't think any team wants to have Kyle Trask lead their franchise. So
no, I don't think so.
I was already.
I ain't hating. That's just reality right there.
That's facts. All right, man. Any last thoughts about the Bucks? I know you probably hope we just go back to the toilet bowl like Cam Jordan be talking about.
Man, look, bro. I appreciate teams. You know what I'm saying? Like that just overcomes adversity. I'm just like I don't hate on any team. You know what I'm saying? Except when they play the Saints. Right. But I just like looking at the Saints coaching staff and everything that's going on with the team. I have man, I just have a positive outlook on life when I see teams figuring it out, getting the right coordinators, making the right decisions. You know, like it just makes me wonder, like, why the hell my team can't do it? Like, I mean, I'm shocked, with the whole situation with Tampa, but at the same time, I gotta respect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was a team that people just thought once Tom Brady just left, they were just gonna fall back. I was one of them people that saying they were gonna be in a basement, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know it's early in the season, you know what I'm saying? Things happen, but based on what people thought, where this team was supposed to be out the gate, you got to give credit what credit is due. So, I mean, I ain't got, like, I ain't got no problem with that. I got a respect for teams that win. I just wish that my team could follow suit, understanding what the problem actually is and try to address said problem. You mentioned with Byron Leftwich, right? There was a problem between him and Todd Bowles. Seemed like a simple solution, right? We can't coexist with each other. So therefore, one of us got to go. They decided to keep Todd Bowles. Bye-bye Byron Leftwich. You get Canales up in there, and now look at it. Prosperity. The Saints, on the other hand, you get a Dennis Allen, you keep him around. Then your team averaging 19 points a game last season, but you still keep the same offensive coordinator, still doubling down on the foolishness. Look where we at right now. So I have a respect for teams that are willing to make tough decisions and try to become better. So you ain't about to get no hate from me, man. Like like when I'm talking sports, I'm about as as level-headed as I possibly can. I remove all the fandom. Like, I'm a Saints fan, don't get me wrong, but I'm not delusional, and I'm not one of them people that just don't respect good football play. Like, some of the things that happened in that game against the New Orleans Saints from Tampa, I mean, you got to be impressed. And those guys seemed like they were motivated to play. And, they look pretty good. And as long as you can continue to keep that same energy, you win the battle of attrition, you can find yourself in a postseason, man. And who knows what happens when you get there.
Right. Well, you were delusional about the Bucs, but we'll just leave that for another.
Nah, yeah, I definitely was. I mean, but like, come on, man. To be fair, to be fair, like, no, come on, man. I wasn't the only person.
Let's be fair. Like,
I did not see this coming.
I understand, but there is a lot of this team has lived off their defense since Todd Bowles has been there. Like, come on, man. Like, we watch, even if you are a simple like football fan and watched us during our Super Bowl run and our playoffs, it was very clear how good our defense was in many of that, and we didn't lose the nucleus of that at all. Right. And then you add on offense, you still have Mike Evans, you had Chris Godwin. Again, I understand, you didn't know what you had at running back, which we still know what the hell we got at running back.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive line, even with the changes and everything, they play overall, they're not terrible. But everybody swore they were going to be terrible. I just couldn't buy in, maybe because one, I watched a lot of this stuff, and I watched football, I watched all the league. I just couldn't believe a lot of that because obviously I'm very tuned in. But it was just really hard in a division that nobody has figured anything out to just throw away the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Blew my mind. That was just crazy to me. When you have the most Pro Bowl, all-pro players of any team in the division, it was just like, come on, like, yes, we got a chance like everybody. At least you can say we have a chance, but for people just to like punt down the field was crazy to me. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, I mean, let me go back. Look at the Saints. Like, you got Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. Like, they got all this talent that they have. You know what I'm saying? So imagine if Drew Brees was the quarterback of this team. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how like they felt when it came to Tampa. A lot of the things that they saw last year, when Tom Brady, facilitating comebacks and you know what I'm saying, like doing things that's necessary in order for you guys to win the division, people took that into account. And, I mean, come on, man. Like, for the most part, people were tuned in to Tampa because of Tom Brady. Like, it. Like that was even though as a Bucs fan, it probably tick you off because how much talent these guys have. What they've been developing. But, like I said, these talking heads get cliff notes, right? And like they feel like Tom Brady was the is all and be all, and now that he's gone,
and I want to throw this at you because I think this has something to do with it, and I think the media didn't want to count out Tom again. Because remember when he left New England, everybody left him for dead. Yeah, and they didn't want, and I mean everybody like just straight. I'll say this.
Wait a minute, you think so? You think they left him for dead? I think
people were talking down that is it Belichick or is it Tom Brady? Like, is he going to be any good without that system quarterback? Like, some of that stuff was coming out. Not many people were like, maybe people wanted him in the organization, but the way the talking heads were talking was like, yeah, Tom Brady's falling off. That was the talking point when he was leaving New England. That was the talking point about Tom Brady.
Oh man, look, I'm gonna tell you this. First off, when he went to Tampa, you had a lot of those journalists that were mad because he went to a team that wasn't as polarizing. If he would have went to the Jets or if he would have went to the 49ers, or somewhere like that, or Dallas, they would have been throwing tank tuck parades for this dude. But it was just the fact that he went to a team that, I'm just being honest, that don't really have a history of being like successful consistently like some of these other teams, right? And they're like, oh man, well, you gonna go here. But to me, him winning in Tampa was equivalent to LeBron James winning in Cleveland. That's kind of how I look. You know what I'm saying? Like it was. If he probably would have did that in San Francisco, they would have been like, well, San Francisco already had a nucleus and he just got there. Tampa was a team that was struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like absolutely struggling. Like nobody expected that at all. And to me, that probably meant more than probably 2 or 3 of the rings that he had in New England. So to me, the
team was built. I mean, Bruce Arians, which I think is the orchestrator of helping this team have this now winning, mindset. He was the orchestrator of getting Tom to come to Tampa because I don't think Tampa was the number one place for him to want to go.
Miami was. Miami was the original.
The guy he is. I know there was the Schrager. Schrager has his own podcast, and Jason Light was on there, and he talked about what the pitch was going to Tom. He was cussing and all kind of stuff. It'd be like, we already got a team built down here. All we need is a guy like you to go ahead and win a ring. You want to win more rings, right?
Right.
And I guarantee the way BA is and his mannerisms and everything like that turned Tom on. And obviously it did because it put other teams that was in front of him and say, nope, I'm going to Tampa. And he looked at the team. I guarantee when after he talked to BA, he went back and Tom's a smart ass guy. Damn, these mugs do got add in, ask Gronk to come with me. Add an AP.
Yeah.
And I got this defense over here. BA might be right. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
That helped fuel this team into what the team I think going forward, we're going to be a pretty good team going forward. But again, this is the first quarter. We're going to see what it looks like. But, thank you, BA. I've been saying that for years. Thank you, BA. And thank you, Tom, for infusing that winning mentality into this team. I mean, those two people together, I think, is the reason why we're sitting at where we're at right now.
Right. And it also speaks volume. It also speaks volumes about like the organization. I will say this. It speaks volume about the organization when you're able to keep like some of your core players like that, when these guys have opportunity probably to make more money elsewhere, but these guys are willing to like, make that sacrifice.
The strongest ever.
Yeah. So, I mean, that speaks volumes. Like that tells you that guys want to be there, so.
Which is gonna, like you said, that's what's gonna keep us until right now I can't see us not being a good team for the reason you're saying, because the way they're built from top up. I think it's gonna be a place that people if this team continues to win the way they are, people are gonna want to come down here when we clear our books. Right now we're trying to obviously get rid of a lot of money from the Super Bowl run.
Right.
But there's gonna be people that want to come here. Even undrafted free agents, which I think we've done probably the best. I think we are the number one team from 2014, and it's not even by miles. Peter Strange talked about this on his podcast, of homegrown talent actually playing for their team and being re-signed. Like, there's nobody even close to Tampa when it comes to that. Which is
that's how you win championships, man.
That's a recipe for success.
That's how you win championships. I mean, I've said that. Like, I'm a firm believer and play evaluation coming from college to the pros. Like I know when free agency come out, they got the whole moniker of free agent frenzy and why my team ain't signed this guy for $100 million. Like, nah, bro. I feel like this. Some of the best artists in the world, their best album is their first album, right? Because they hungry. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to eat. You know, and then all of a sudden, like they get a little buzz. Second album, third album may not be the same. So, yeah, there you go. But I'm a firm believer in player development. I think that's how you win consistently. You may not win Super Bowls every year, but you go be in contention consistently.
And I think that's where the marriage is now, having Dave Canales on offense and Todd Bowles on defense. Both are teachers. And Todd's told about this all offseason. We got nothing but teachers here. And, you know, like I said, he's been very deliberate with a lot of things this year. And I just felt really confident about what this team's going to be. And going to that all year. I mean, all day. But, yeah, let's go into this second half. I know we're 2 hours in. I appreciate everybody in the chat.
Yeah, man.
I definitely appreciate you, TJ. You know, we do this every quarter.
Yeah.
I love doing it. I love doing it.
Yeah, me too, man. Look, I enjoy talking ball, man. I enjoy talking ball with Joe. You know, talking about the NFC South. I mean, man, why wouldn't I want to be here, man? It's always an amazing time, man.
Definitely. All right, man. Second quarter. We got a bye week. We in a bye week right now.
You concerned about that? You concerned about having a bye week so early, man?
I did when the schedule first came out, but where we stand right now with Jamel Dean hurt, Carlton Davis just coming back from an injury. I think Winfield's a little nicked up. Devin White's a little nicked up. He has a groin, even though he's been battling through that. I think our right tackle has something going on. I just found that out today. He has something, I think, with a knee. So this actually came at the perfect time where we can kind of reset and kind of get a little more healthy.
No concern about momentum? No concern about momentum?
No, because I think they're going to carry the momentum over. I think because there's a lot of players on this team that have chips on their shoulders. Like you said, a lot of this is very young players and players that people keep on counting out. You know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, Mike Evans in a contract year. They didn't want to give him a contract, so he wants to prove something. Baker Mayfield, we already talked about him. You know, there was some question about Shaq. You know, it's just a lot of, I don't know. There's some players that just seem like they just always, and it bleeds over. But Devin White, we re-signed Devin White. You know, he's coming back more, you know, he wants to prove that he's a better linebacker than I think from a consistency standpoint that he's played in his career. So there's a lot of players on this team that just like, and they're coming together under that one cause, and I hope they find a way to keep a lot of these guys together going forward. Yeah. But they're speaking one motion, and it all starts with your head coach, and that's dangerous. And I think that's why I think this momentum is going to continue, because they're all but then you got Detroit at home, Atlanta at home, and Buffalo on a short week. 3 games. What you thinking?
When it comes to Detroit, I think honestly, based on y'all defense, y'all will probably be able to neutralize them to a certain extent, keep it more interesting than a lot of people may give it credit. I still feel like Detroit. I think Detroit probably beat y'all. Even though I will say this, I'm not confident about it, because I mean you all are coming off a bye week, so you got extra time to be able to game plan for Detroit. So as far as Atlanta, I see y'all beating Atlanta, and as Buffalo, that might be tough for y'all, man. Going out there to Western New York, like you said, on a short week. I think Miami is playing at a high level, even though, you know, Buffalo beat them. I think Buffalo understands like they're gonna have to kind of, you know, win these games in order for them to stay lock and step with Miami. So I think that, you know, y'all probably go 2, you know, what do you say, 2-1? You know, like I think y'all win. I think y'all no, I'm sorry. 1-2. 1-2. I think y'all go 1-2, man.
Which is 3 games. I mean, that's not that, you know, man, they do that, you're still sitting at 4-3. So it's not the worst thing that could happen. You know,
y'all still be leading the division though. I mean, based on what I've seen, like from the Saints and Atlanta can't get out their own way. I think y'all still be leading the division by that time.
Yeah, and that Detroit game coming out the bye is a pivotal game. Right now, I got to be honest. I got to be on the same page as you with that. It's hard for me right now, even with riding the high. I think Detroit they're playing at a high level themselves, and that's going to be a hard game to win, even if it is home. And you already see how our home is. We let any fan base come in there and take over the stadium.
Yeah, them Lion fans, they traveling, man. They are traveling. They've been waiting for this moment.
Exactly.
Man, they've been waiting for this moment, man.
And that's why I think that there's a good chance they're going to lose that, because teams like the Lions travel very well, and Bucs fans just sell their tickets because they look at it more of an investment than actually invest into the team. So whatever. But yeah, I can see it 1-2. So we're going to beat Atlanta. We're going to beat Atlanta. And Buffalo, look, at the beginning of the season, I said there's 3 teams that the Bucs aren't going to win, and I already marked them as 3 losses. It was Philly, Buffalo, and the 49ers. Until seen otherwise, I'm going to continue to stay that way. So yeah, I can see them going 1-2 in this stretch. But Detroit's an interesting game. I think we can win that game.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, but as of right now, being impartial, I would say we'll be 1-2 as well. I'm being up on that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Again, appreciate everybody in the chat. TJ, if you got anything else, like I said, we can hit the little where you are and all that good stuff, and get out of here and get you back to your family.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, thank you for the opportunity, man. I mean, Big Talk Sports. I mean, definitely, doing their thing. Shouts out to you all, man. I really do appreciate your time. I ain't plugging nothing, man. Like, seriously, man. Look, my name TJ Jones, and Stay the Same podcast. That's man, you can find it. I just appreciate the opportunity, man. I mean, it's always a pleasure, like, talking football with y'all. And shouts out to Mike once again, man. I hope you feel better. If you're still watching this right now, and looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to coming back next quarter, talking a little bit more about the NFC South. Hopefully, the Saints give me something better to talk about. But we'll see.
Right. And hopefully we might come across a Falcon fan that might give us a little perspective again.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a guy that can stay on their feet, whatever. But you already know, man. This is your host, DJ. Big Talk Sports. You can find me at the Buck Stops here on Twitter. My Twitter's been a little hot lately because I've been taking some shots.
Yeah, you've been on one, boy.
I already told you at the beginning of the year, y'all better hope this team is what y'all think they're going to be. I've been very clear about that.
Yeah,
I'm coming for people next, and they better hope we just torpedo down after this too. I promise you. I ain't going after everybody yet. I'm still leaving some for later. But I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. I loved all the comments, man. Like I said, TJ always brings his people, and I saw some new people also. Bucks and some other areas. Hey, man, continue to come. Follow us on the channel. I know me and Mike usually do our, picks for the week, but we already almost at 2.5. Might come back and do those a little later this week. Real quick, maybe do a quick 30-minute live or something like that. Do our pick for the week. But again, TJ, I appreciate you. And that's all I got, man. Appreciate everybody. But you already know. We out of here. Peace.